After all, there's still a Gushi, and between them now, but they still have a lot of time. He will definitely be able to win over Xiao Qingxue. After Ming left, I came out of the bedroom. I went to the dining table, sat down, and let out a soft sigh. The honey trap is still useful. Xiao Qingxue came over and said with dissatisfaction, "Shouldn't you compensate me for some emotional distress fees?" I sneered. "You say it as if I forced you to sell your body." Xiao Qingxue chuckled, and the two of them sat down to have lunch. Gu Haoming embarrassed the Gu family so much last night. It made Gu Yuandong extremely dissatisfied. The only thing he can rely on is Qin Hui Lan's protection. If he really appeals to clear Li Shufen's name, it would be like stabbing Qin Hui Lan in the chest. This scheme to sow discord is truly brilliant. Xiao Qingxue stared into my eyes. "It seems I can't afford to offend you in the future. Your desire for revenge is really strong." Xiao Qingxue had also figured it out. This was a move to sow discord between Gu Haoming and Qin Hui Lan. Gu Haoming isn't a fool. He also knows that helping Li Xufen by appealing would definitely anger Qin Hui Lan. But I had seen his greed and delusions regarding Xiao Qingxue. I used this point to make him lose his reason. I raised my pinky to lift Xiao Qingxue's chin. "Don't worry. I won't use this trick on you." Xiao Qingxue suddenly grabbed my hand. She placed it on her lips and kissed it. "With me, a pretty boy trap is enough. That's the only trick I fall for." After the meal, I went to the TV station, because the primetime news is a live broadcast. It ends at 7:30. I just walked out of the broadcast building. Xiao Qingxue's car was already parked at the entrance. I opened the car door and sat in the passenger seat. 15 minutes later, the car stopped in the courtyard of the Wen family's villa. After getting out, Xiao Qingxue didn't go in right away, but opened the trunk of the car. Then she took out a pile of things from inside. I was very surprised. "What are you doing?" Xiao Qingxue replied, "It's my first time meeting the family. I can't go empty-handed." I laughed. She really considered this a family introduction, but I didn't say anything and helped her carry the things inside. Feng Yuping saw their car drive in and hurried out to greet them. "Xian, you two are finally here." I called out, "Mom," then I introduced them. "This is Xiao Qingxue." Feng Yuping was incredibly enthusiastic. "I've heard about the little princess for a long time. Today is the first time we've met. Auntie Feng, you can just call me a Xue," she said as she handed over the gift in her hand. "This is a gold mask from the cosmetics company, under our Shia group, which we researched and developed. It helps with skin regeneration and rejuvenation. But Auntie Feng is so young, I'm afraid you won't need it." Feng Yuping was so flattered by that one sentence that her heart blossomed with joy. The gold mask? She had heard of it. The cosmetics company under the Xia group owned countless top global brands. Its most famous product was the gold mask, from its subsidiary brand, BJ. But this kind of mask wasn't something ordinary people could use. It was said to be researched by the world's top medical team. Using the most advanced medical technology, it created a medical-grade skin recovery product. This technology even received a Nobel Prize in medicine. But because the ingredients used were extremely precious, the production was extremely scarce. Each year, it was only supplied in limited quantities to the VIP customers of the BJ brand. Last time Mrs. Kin's friends from Jingcheng had given her one piece. During afternoon tea, she had taken it out to show off to everyone. And now, Xiao Qingxue had given her a whole box. Feng Yuping was extremely excited. She held the box of masks, unable to let go. Tomorrow, she had to organize a tea party. Then she would give each lady 2 pieces. Feng Yuping invited the two of them into the house. Feng Yuping said, "You two must be hungry. Hurry into the dining room. Let's eat first." Very quickly, the whole family was seated in the dining room. Wen Yin was also home today. Xiao Qingxue had prepared gifts for everyone. Wen Cheng Yi liked to drink tea. She had prepared premium Da Hong Pao tea. The old man liked calligraphy. Xiao Qingxue had prepared an antique set of the 4 treasures of the study. There was also an extremely rare Huizhou inkstick. It made the old man smile so much his eyes crinkled. Wen Yin looked at Xiao Qingxue with an expectant expression. "What about me? Did you prepare a gift for me?" Xiao Qingxue smiled. "Of course, there's a gift for my little sister. Concert tickets for Xiyu Feng." "Ah!" Wen Yin suddenly screamed. Xiyu Feng was the nation's best actor. Moreover, not only was he the best actor, he was also the king of the music scene. He was Wen Yin's idol. His concert tickets were extremely hard to buy. Wen Yin had tried to get them for a long time without success, and they were VIP tickets. "Sister-in-law, I love you so much." Xiao Qingxue was stunned for a moment. "What did you call me?" Wen Yin spoke bluntly. "You're my brother's girlfriend. You're my brother's girlfriend. Is there anything wrong with me calling you sister-in-law?" Wen Yin knew the recent family events like the back of her hand. Yesterday, her mother had declared that from now on, I am her biological brother, not her brother-in-law. Besides, Wen Yin had always treated me like her real brother since childhood. Her bond with me was much better than her bond with Wen Yue Ting. Feng Yuping also became tense for a moment. Wen Yin had always been impulsive like this. Although I was currently dating Xiao Qingxue, calling her sister-in-law was really too forward. Would she misunderstand and think that Shen was using this to demand official recognition, but in the next second, Xiao Qingxue's expression relaxed. She looked to be in an extremely good mood. Later, sent you Xiao Feng's WeChat. Wen Yin was so excited she almost flipped the dining table on the spot. "You're the best sister-in-law. Long live sister-in-law." Wen Yin felt that having a sister-in-law was great, much better than her own unambitious older sister. Feng Yuping also felt the same way. Of course, she also knew in her heart that she and Anya Qingxue's relationship would not necessarily last. If they were truly determined to be together, they would definitely face countless obstacles. As an elder, there was really nothing to criticize about Xiao Qingxue. She was happy for me, but also felt a little sad in her heart. After all, I was the son-in-law she had acknowledged since I was a child, but as soon as she thought of the outrageous things her daughter had done, she felt better. Being her son was also very good. This child had suffered so much, endured so many hardships. He deserved someone who truly loved him. This meal, they ate in a happy and harmonious atmosphere, until Wen Yue Ting returned. When a drunken Wen Yue Ting returned, she saw a whole table of people gathered for dinner, talking and laughing happily. It was very lively. What surprised Wen Yue Ting was that I was also back. The moment she saw me, Wen Yue Ting's heart felt as if someone was squeezing it tightly. It hurt so much that she could barely breathe. She didn't go to the company today. Her phone was also off all day. She was drinking at Li Tingting's bar. She told her everything, and Li Tingting scolded her, saying she deserved it. "You tell me, you and brother and grew up bathing naked together. Don't you understand what kind of person he is? You were tricked and provoked by some random man, and you doubted brother Anne's love for you. Xinyu, that guy, all of us sisters could see it. He's a gigolo. Only you were too deluded to realize it, thinking he was the purest man in the world." In the end, Wen Yue Ting didn't want to listen anymore. She turned on her powered-off phone and found countless missed calls, all from Xinyu. Now, she was full of resentment towards Xinyu. She didn't want to pay him any attention. But besides Xinyu, no one else cared about her. She suddenly wanted to go home and see. Unexpectedly, she returned to such a scene. Not only was I there, but Xiao Qingxue was also sitting at the dining table. She was chatting and laughing happily with Grandpa. Grandpa's eyes were filled with admiration as he looked at her, as if he were looking at his own granddaughter. Her parents, too. Wen Yin was on her phone, doing something. Suddenly, she said excitedly, "Sister-in-law, he added me as a friend. He really added me as a friend. Sister-in-law, you're amazing. You're truly my real sister-in-law." Hearing the words, sister-in-law, the blood in Wen Yue Ting's body suddenly flowed backward. She clenched her fists. "Wen Yin, who are you calling sister-in-law?" The sudden cold voice at the door shattered the lively atmosphere in the dining room. Everyone looked towards the door and saw Wen Yue Ting standing there with a cold expression. Feng Yuping stood up. Seeing Wen Yue Ting like this, she was both angry and heartbroken. After all, this was her own daughter. She walked over and asked with concern, "Why are you back?" Wen Yin, however, was nonchalant. "That's right. Sis, isn't it very awkward for you to come back now?" Wen Yue Ting rarely came back to the old house. She usually lived separately outside with Xinyu. Wen Yue Ting became visibly angry. Coming back to my own home. Do I have to report it? Wen Yin, are you even my sister?" Wen Yin pouted and said nothing. The old man turned around and scolded coldly. "How long has it been since you came back?" "Wen Yin comes back from school more often than you." Wen Yue Ting's fingers tightened, her shoulders trembling slightly. Feng Yuping finally couldn't bear it and said, "Look at yourself, you're a mess. We have guests today. Go take a shower, change your clothes and come down." Although Wen Yue Ting had been drinking, she was now unusually sober. At this moment, Xiao Qingxue's gaze also fell on her, calm and cold. Xiao Qingxue was clearly sitting, while she was standing, but facing her, she felt that Xiao Qingxue had a sense of superiority. Wen Yue Ting really disliked this feeling. She turned and left the dining room, heading to her own room. When Wen Yue Ting came down, she had showered, changed her clothes, and tidied herself up. It's just that between her eyebrows, there still lingered a deep gloom and weariness. The housekeeper had already prepared a bowl and chopsticks for her. Wen Yue Ting's usual familiar seat was now occupied by Xiao Qingxue. She could only sit at the outermost position. She had an indescribably complex feeling in her heart since Wen Yue Ting returned. The originally happy and relaxed atmosphere vanished completely. Wen Yin had already left the table and went to her room with her phone to chat with Xiao Feng. The old man spoke first. "I assume you already know about the Paradise Resort project. CEO Shai has awarded it to Haifeng Architecture for the Wen Corporation these past few years, which has been continuously losing money on projects. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to overcome difficulties or even turn the tide. Tonight's dinner is to invite CEO Zaya to thank her." Xiao Qingxue, who was next to him, said, "Grandpa, you're being too polite. The Xia Group also values the strength and quality standards of Haifeng architecture. This is a win-win partnership." Although she said that, Grandpa and everyone else all understood that there were many companies stronger than Haifeng architecture. Xiao Qingxue, choosing Haifeng, definitely. had her own reasons. It was most likely out of consideration for me. Wen Yue Ting, of course, was also very clear about this. Previously, the Shai group didn't even send a bid invitation to Haifeng Architecture. The day I went to see Xiao Qingxue, the Wen Corporation received the file. She had thought her sincerity had moved Xiao Qingxue. Now it seemed it was because of Gu Xian. Could it be that at that time, the two of them had already developed an ambiguous relationship? Wen Yue Ting's heart was filled with both bitterness and anger. She unexpectedly blurted out a sentence. The Wen Corporation's current situation is indeed difficult, but it hasn't reached the point of needing a marriage alliance. The atmosphere instantly froze. Everyone understood Wen Yue Ting's meaning. She was saying that this project was obtained by the Wen family by using my pretty boy trap. The old man immediately flew into a rage. He slammed his hand on the dining table. Yue Ting, what nonsense are you talking about? Wen Yue Ting remembered the happy and harmonious appearance of everyone just now, and was also extremely angry. They clearly knew Gu Xian was her husband, even if it was in the past. But now, for the benefit of the Wen Corporation, they could smilingly offer him up, without any regard for her feelings. Wen Yue Ting decided to go all out. Was I wrong? Gu Xian is my husband. Now he's fawning over this person. If the Wen family's benefits and future require me, Wen Yue Ting, to trade a man for it, then I'd rather not have it. Everyone was shocked by Wen Yue Ting's startling words. Even Feng Yuping's face showed a look of shame. Where did she get the nerve to say such things? Before anyone else could speak, I spoke first. Wen Yue Ting, do you have any shame? Wen Yue Ting's eyes met mine. Her heart ached. I am not your husband, much less your man, nor am I a commodity in your eyes that can be used to trade for benefits. And I didn't mean that. I laughed coldly. Also, your heart is blind. Are your eyes blind too? You can't even tell the difference between genuine feelings and fawning. Wen Yue Ting was scolded until she was speechless, but she still didn't believe I would fall in love with Xiao Qingxue in just a short month. Feng Yuping couldn't stand it anymore either. She said with some anger, Ting, you are my daughter, but I can't side with you on this matter. You already chose Song Xinyu. Do you expect Xian to wait for you forever? I know all about what happened yesterday. You were there too, but you just let the Gu family and Song Xinyu bully Xi, and like that. What face do you have now to say here that Xian is your husband? From today onward, Xian is a son of our Wen family, not a son-in-law. Anyway, I can't control you anymore. You can just fly high and far with your Song Xinyu, but don't stop Xian from finding his happiness. Otherwise, don't blame me for disowning you as my daughter. It wasn't that Feng Yuping didn't love her daughter, but she was angry that she was unambitious. In her heart, Wen Yue Ting was her child. The girl and I were also childhood sweethearts. Two innocent children had now become like enemies. She was the most heartbroken one. But too many things had happened this past month. She also knew clearly that the two of them couldn't mend their broken mirror, so she couldn't let Wen Yue Ting ruin Xian's future any longer. After hearing this, Wen Yue Ting felt even more bitter in her heart. They were clearly her family. But from childhood to adulthood, no matter what happened, they would stand on my side without hesitation. Sometimes it even made her suspect she was adopted. Perhaps that was why. Although since childhood, she liked me very much, deep down a seed of jealousy was secretly planted. This was also the cause of the conflict due to misunderstanding later on, but she couldn't say these things out loud. Wen Yue Ting lowered her head. Mom, Song Xinyu and I have broken up. This sentence once again plunged the entire dining room into silence. It seemed this sentence was directed at Feng Yuping. But after saying it, Wen Yue Ting glanced at me. What disappointed her was that there was no expression on my face. No surprise, no shock, nor did I look at her. I didn't even frown. Feng Yuping, however, was extremely surprised. It must be that last night's incident where Song Xinyu framed Xian had made her wake up. Did you really break up with Song Xinyu? Wen Yue Ting nodded. I've seen his true colors. Actually, they hadn't officially broken up yet, but things had come to this. Wen Yue Ting knew she would definitely break up with him. I stood up first. Dad. Mom. Grandpa. It's getting late. Sue and I will be leaving. Feng Yuping suddenly spoke up. Xian. Come with me for a moment. I have something to give you. I nodded. I was standing. Xiao Qingxue was sitting. At this moment, I very naturally placed one hand on Xiao Qingxue's shoulder. I leaned down slightly and said a sentence into her ear. Go wait for me in the car. It'll be right out. Xiao Qingxue looked up, patted my waist lightly, and smiled casually. Okay. Their actions were both casual and languid, intimate and natural. Not at all like they were pretending, but like the tacit understanding of many years spent together. I followed Feng Yuping out of the dining room. Xiao Qingxue also said her goodbyes and left first. Father Wen and Grandpa Wen also left. Wen Yue Ting sat alone in the dining room for a while, but finally chased after her. Miss Xia, please wait. When Wen Yue Ting caught up to Xiao Qingxue, they were right in the villa's courtyard. Xiao Qingxue turned around. She stood gracefully under a magnolia tree in the courtyard. It had to be admitted that Xiao Qingxue had a noble and cold aura about her, although they were both born into wealth. Even at the top of the pyramid, People were still divided into different classes, and Xiao Qingxue was the type who stood on the clouds, looking down on all mortals. Xiao Qingxue gave her a cold glance. Her voice was cold and distant, yet full of pressure. Is there something, Miss Wen? Wen Yue Ting mustered up all her courage to look directly at her. Miss Xia, Shen, and I grew up together since childhood. We were childhood sweethearts with a deep bond. 3 years ago, we held our wedding ceremony. Quite a few people witnessed it that year. It's true that at first, due to some misunderstandings, on the day we were going to register our marriage, I temporarily broke my promise. We were originally supposed to register our marriage. Xiao Qingxue let out a faint laugh. Then I really have to thank the heavens for being wise. Wen Yue Ting's expression turned a bit colder. Miss Xia, that divorce paper doesn't mean anything. In my heart, Shen and I are husband and wife. At least we were. I think Shen feels the same way in his heart. Xiao Qingxue frowned slightly. I had indeed told her before that. The childhood sweetheart bond between me and Wen Yue Ting was something outsiders couldn't understand, and at that time, I was still waiting for Wen Yue Ting to come back. A sharp, almost imperceptible glint flashed in Xiao Qingxue's eyes, but on the surface, she maintained an indifferent expression. So what, Miss Wen? You also know that's in the past, Wen Yue Ting then said directly. I won't give up on Shen. Before, I was framed and driven apart by Song Xinyu. Now the truth is clear. I won't give up on Shen again. What I owe him, I will spend the rest of my life making it up to him. Miss Kia, your family background is illustrious. The most outstanding men in the world are yours for the choosing. It's not like you can't live without him. But I am different. We've lived together for 20 years. We've long been closer than family. I hope Miss Chie won't come between us. Xiao Qingxue laughed faintly. Miss Wen, you are both foolish and confident. Foolish in that a 20-year bond could be shaken by a few provocative words from an outsider. You're telling me this is called a deep bond? But your confidence truly makes me feel ashamed. On what basis do you think that when you turn back, others have to stand in place and wait for you? Sometimes, missing an opportunity is a mistake. For the rest of your life, you'll only drift further apart. Xiao Qingxue's eyes were deep, as still as the sea under the night sky. But looking closely, one could see a churning undercurrent. It seemed as if at any moment it could stir up a massive, sky-high wave. She paused, staring into Wen Yue Ting's eyes. Her red lips parted slightly, but every word was firm. Also, how do you know it's not that I can't live without him? The summer night wind carried a sweltering heat, like a pair of hands choking Wen Yue Ting's neck. A sense of suffocation washed over her. On the other side, I followed Auntie Feng Yu Ping back to the room. Feng Yu Ping opened the safe right in front of me. Then she took out a small, black velvet box from inside. She came to me and opened the box. Inside was a longevity lock made of jadeite, but what was surprising was, it was an extremely rare pink jadeite. This type of material was not common on the market. I don't know much about jade, but just one look was enough to know it was priceless. I seemed to have guessed Auntie Feng Yu Ping's intention. Before she could speak, I refused. Auntie, I can't accept this. Feng Yu Ping said, this isn't for you. This was originally yours. I was a little surprised. This piece of jade was from when the Gu family and the Wen family were engaged since childhood. It was their betrothal gift. The Gu family gave this pink jadeite longevity lock. The Wen family gave a Hotan jade Rui scepter. But this longevity lock had a great origin. It wasn't commissioned by the Gu family. It was on the day you were born that a great figure gifted it. Speaking of which, this was a heaven-sent fate. But the specific details, your father didn't say much. He only said that having this jade could guarantee you a lifetime of glory and wealth. Gu Yuandong treated this jade as a family heirloom. He wanted to pass it down from generation to generation, so he considered it the engagement token for you and Wen Yue Ting, thinking that after you had children, you would pass it on to the next generation. Yue Ting no longer has that fortune now. Since you and Yue Ting have broken up, then this piece of jade should be given to you to keep. I frowned slightly. I have already severed ties with the Gu family. If it must be returned, then please return it to the Gu family. Because Gu Haoming is the true son of the Gu family, then this longevity lock jade pendant originally belongs to Gu Haoming. I am not greedy, you silly child. If I wanted to return it to the Gu family, I would have returned it long ago. I only want to give this jade pendant to you. Gu Yuandong once said that the great figure who gifted the jade did so after seeing you. He felt a connection with you, which is why he gave this priceless jade pendant. If you and Gu Haoming hadn't been switched at that time, perhaps he wouldn't have given it. Don't be silly. Being switched as a child is not your fault. I have treasured this jade for over 20 years. You must take it. Don't give it to Gu Haoming. Otherwise, he'll be angry. I smiled. Took the box. Yes, he'll take it. I won't give it to Gu Haoming. Even if he asks for it later, I won't give it. Hearing me say that, Feng Yu Ping cheered up. This is my good son. We must keep good things for ourselves. You are just too noble. We can eat anything, but we can't suffer a loss. I smiled happily. I'll remember that. I walked out of the villa and saw Xiao Qingxue and Wen Yue Ting standing under a magnolia tree in the courtyard. A Xue, what are you two talking about? I walked straight to Xiao Qingxue's side. I very naturally put my arm around Xiao Qingxue's shoulder. I lowered my head, my eyes curving as I looked directly at Xiao Qingxue. My eyes sparkled, like a rose swaying in the summer night wind, making one's heart flutter. Xiao Qingxue's originally ice-cold gaze seemed to thaw in that instant. Tenderness spread in the depths of her eyes. Her voice was also as clear and gentle as the moonlight. Nothing, just discussing a little life philosophy with Miss Wen. I raised an eyebrow slightly. The small beauty mark at the corner of my eye also moved slightly. I smiled and said, "We should go. It's so late. Let's not disturb others' rest." "Okay." Xiao Qingxue looked up, her expression immediately turning indifferent. "Miss Wen, goodbye," she said, and left side by side with me. Looking at their departing figures, Wen Yue Ting's heart felt like it had been stabbed by a knife. Since when did the two of them become us, and she had become others? Could it be that their 20-something years of affection wasn't even worth 1 month with Xiao Qingxue? She was not resigned. She also didn't believe it. I was definitely doing it on purpose. I sat in Xiao Qingxue's car. We quickly left the Wen family villa. After getting in the car, I noticed that Xiao Qingxue's mood wasn't very good. Her expression was cold, completely different from how she was at the Wen family's house. The car had already traveled more than half the way. Xiao Qingxue didn't say a word. I also deliberately said nothing. Watching the scenery flash by outside the window, the woman finally couldn't hold it in anymore. "Gu Xian, why aren't you comforting me?" I looked at the woman who was pouting angrily. I suddenly burst out laughing. "Comfort you? For what? Have I done anything to wrong you?" Xiao Qingxue thought for a moment. "No, you haven't," she suddenly said forcefully, "but I am not happy." "Then tell me, why aren't you happy?" I propped my head with one hand and asked nonchalantly. "Did you lose the argument with her in the courtyard just now?" Although Xiao Qingxue didn't turn to look at me, she proudly lifted her chin. "How could that be? I won completely." Xiao Qingxue's expression was unconcealed. At this moment, she was like a little girl taking pleasure in others' misfortune, so childish. But I found this woman a little cute when she was jealous. I raised my hand, gently scratching her chin. "It's not this either. It's not that either." "So what's the reason?" "My little princess," Xiao Qingxue started to speak. "I am very angry. Wen Yue Ting actually thinks that she just needs to apologize and admit her mistake, repent, and then everything she did to you in the past can be erased. Where did she get such an idea? It's utterly ridiculous. This Miss Wen is truly one of a kind. Just how thick-skinned does one have to be to say such things? The reason she's angry is actually because of me. During the time I lived with Wen Yue Ting before, was this always the pattern? That's why Wen Yue Ting has this perception, thinking that as long as she casually admits her mistake, I will come back. What she's really worried about is Gu Xian, whether he would actually go back. After all, there's one point where she truly can't compare. That is the more than 20 years of childhood sweetheart affection between me and Wen Yue Ting. Although we also met when he was 8 years old. For her, it was a great salvation. A search and entrustment that lasted nearly 20 years. But for me, he had long forgotten me in the depths of his memory. On this point, she is truly far behind Wen Yue Ting. I gently pinched her chin. "Xiao Qingxue, no need to test me. Since I've broken up with Wen Yue Ting, I won't get back together with an ex. As for what she thinks, it has nothing to do with me." Hearing me say that, Xiao Qingxue's heart finally felt much more at ease. That's right. Her words just now were indeed mixed with a bit of probing. She just wanted to see my attitude towards Wen Yue Ting's apology. Luckily, I wasn't swayed at all. Xiao Qingxue shrugged, not showing the slightest embarrassment from having her thoughts exposed. "Embarrassed? It's just that I don't feel secure. After all, you won't even give me a proper status. But if I give it to you, would you dare to accept it?" Xiao Qingxue turned her head to look at me. A serious glint appeared in her eyes. "Are you serious?" "I'm kidding. You're teasing me again." I looked out the window, the corner of my mouth lifting slightly. They are very good now. As lovers, as friends, as soulmates. Their souls are connected, but they are both clear-headed. When they're together, their love is passionate, but when they break up later, there will be no lingering. That night, Xiao Qingxue clung to me for a long time. My hair was all drenched. It had a wordless charm. She weakly looked out the window. It's almost dawn, but I still propped myself up, my bright eyes sizing her up. Her skin was as white as porcelain, like a high-quality ceramic, giving people the illusion of a fragile beauty. I greedily admired every inch of her beauty, taking in every one of her minute expressions. The Paradise Resort Village project is about to start. She will be very busy later on. I am afraid she won't have the time and energy like tonight anymore. Later, when I was fully awake, Xiao Qingxue had already gone to the company. I don't even remember how I fell asleep. Extremely tired. I usually don't sleep well, but I managed to sleep soundly for a while. After waking up, I made myself a cup of coffee, then picked up my phone. I found many missed calls on it. More than 10 were from Song Xinyu, and one was from Wen Yue Ting. I didn't call back. I just blocked both numbers. On the other side, the CEO's office of the Xuan building. Gao Qin was reporting on recent work and schedules. Xiao Qingxue suddenly asked, Today's project, the summit meeting. Has anyone from Haifeng Construction arrived? A team has arrived. They've been waiting in the meeting room since early this morning. Today, the Paradise Resort Village project officially kicks off. The parties involved held a big meeting, presided over by Xiao Qingxue herself. Haifeng Construction is the main contractor for the resort village. Of course, they couldn't be absent. Who was the person in charge of the team? Gao Qin was a little surprised that Xiao Qingxue asked this. She spoke clearly. It's the current general manager of the Wen Corporation, Wen Yue Ting. She is fully in charge of the Paradise Resort Village project. The corners of Xiao Qingxue's mouth curled up. Half an hour later, Xiao Qingxue pushed open the door to the meeting room and walked in. The meeting room was very large. Both sides of the long table were already filled with people. The Paradise Resort Village project involves many areas, but right now, the most important is the construction party. So when Yue Ting led her team to sit at the position closest to the chairman's seat, Xiao Qingxue walked straight to the chairman's seat and sat down. Xiao Qingxue glanced at Wen Yue Ting. I only saw her gaze lowered to a pile of documents. Her eyes were a bit empty, as if she had lost her vitality. The meeting lasted for a full 4 hours. It wasn't until it ended at noon. Xiao Qingxue suddenly called out a name. Miss Wen. The Paradise Resort Village project is very large in scale, and the schedule is very tight. You should know that, right? Being called out by Xiao Qingxue, Wen Yue Ting also used a formulaic tone. CEO Xia. Haifeng will definitely do its best, and not betray BJ's trust and entrustment. Yesterday, Wen Yue Ting was drunk. That's why she said those contemptuous words about the Paradise Resort Village. In reality, the Wen Corporation is now besieged on all sides. The situation is difficult. As long as she has a bit of sense, she would know that the Wen Corporation desperately needs this project. From this perspective, she should thank Xiao Qingxue properly. Xiao Qingxue nodded. From today onwards, Miss Wen is the project manager for Party B of the Paradise Resort Village. This project must guarantee quality and quantity. Not a single mistake is allowed. Therefore, I hope that from today, Project Manager Wen will be stationed at the project department on the construction site, holding the fort with the frontline workers, and personally manage the overall situation. Wen Yue Ting glanced at Xiao Qingxue. This project has long established a multi-party team. As the project manager, very few people stay at the construction site every day. Moreover, this Paradise Resort Village, the project is located in the most remote suburb of Rongcheng. It's very far from here. Xiao Qingxue is planning to exile her to the project department, but this project is extremely important to the Wen Corporation. No matter what request Xiao Qingxue makes, she can only accept it. Besides, since last night, her heart has also grown cold. Facing Song Xinyu's entanglement and my coldness, she just wants to be alone and quiet for a while. So Wen Yue Ting agreed without hesitation. Wen Yue Ting left the Shuan building and saw Song Xinyu waiting at the door. The others from the Wen Corporation were mostly old-timers who followed the old master. Moreover, many of them had watched Wen Yue Ting and me grow up. Of course, they knew about the relationship between Wen Yue Ting and Song Xinyu. The people from the Wen Corporation sighed and greeted Wen Yue Ting. Then all left first. When Song Xinyu saw Wen Yue Ting, he quickly ran over. Song Xinyu looked at her earnestly. Wen Yue Ting decisively laid her cards on the table. Before, you imitated Xian's handwriting and forged that diary, causing our relationship to fall apart, and you took the opportunity to squeeze in. For these past few years, you've appeared gentle and kind on the surface, but behind my back, you've never stopped harming Xian. Song Xinyu, am I that stupid in your eyes? Someone for you to manipulate? The more Wen Yue Ting spoke, the colder her voice became. Thinking back carefully, she had indeed been wrapped around his finger these past few years. Song Xinyu pulled Wen Yue Ting's hand. It's not like that. Ding, I love you. I love you so much. Everything I did was because I didn't want to lose you. I know I was wrong. I also know how to repent. I'll go apologize to Xian. I'll kneel down and beg for his forgiveness. Song Xinyu was about to kneel. Ding, don't leave me. It was so hard for us to get to where we are today. You can't just throw me away. I am begging you. Occasionally, people walked by, all casting surprised and gossipy glances. If it were before, Wen Yue Ting would definitely have softened. But now, seeing everyone scrutinizing and suspicious gazes, Wen Yue Ting only felt embarrassed. She didn't want to get any more entangled with Song Xinyu here. Wen Yue Ting felt extremely annoyed, and the crowd of onlookers was growing. What kind of play is Miss Wen putting on here? A mocking voice came from the company gate. Xiao Qingxue, surrounded by a group of people, leisurely walked out. The people surrounding her were the young masters and ladies of Jingcheng. This time, they were all participating in the Paradise Resort Village project. They would all have to interact in the future. When Yue Ting was acquainted with most of them, each of them was an outstanding individual. The quick-witted Song Bingbing spoke up mockingly. Miss Wen, how could you let such a handsome man kneel on the ground? If you're not heartbroken, I am heartbroken for you. Wen Yue Ting didn't want this group of privileged kids from Jingcheng to watch a good show. She flung Song Xinyu's hand away and immediately started to leave. Song Xinyu also didn't expect Wen Yue Ting to become so cold and heartless, leaving him behind so bluntly. Xiao Qingxue gave Song Xinyu a cold glance. She was about to leave, but Song Xinyu called out to her, "Miss Xia, I have something to tell you." Xiao Qingxue had already walked down the steps, not stopping at all. "It's about Yu Xian. Aren't you the least bit interested?" Xiao Qingxue's footsteps finally stopped. She said to the people around her, "Everyone, go to the restaurant first. I'll be there in a bit." Everyone turned back to look at Song Xinyu. The man who was so pitiful just a moment ago was now standing straight there, his expression indifferent. There was no trace of heartache. On the contrary, he was like a predator staring at Xiao Qingxue. There was an unconcealed calculation in his eyes. This man is terrifying. This was Song Bingbing's first impression. Song Bingbing kindly reminded Xiao Qingxue, "Be careful. This man changes his tune so quickly. He doesn't seem like a good person." Xiao Qingxue didn't say anything. After Song Bingbing and the others had walked away, she turned and walked up the steps, stopping 2 meters away from Song Xinyu. The corners of Song Xinyu's mouth had already curled into a calculating smile. "Miss Xia cares about Gu Xian that much?" Xiao Qingxue had no patience for him, frowning slightly. Her clear eyes were cold. "What do you want to say?" Xiao Qingxue had a gut feeling that stopping was unwise. Song Xinyu would very likely say things that were detrimental to me, but since it concerned me, Xiao Qingxue still really wanted to know. "Miss Xia, you and Gu Xian have only known each other for a month. Do you really understand this man?" Xiao Qingxue sneered. "Song Xinyu, I am not. Wen Yue Ting, your divisive tricks won't work on me." Song Xinyu laughed. "Xian is very handsome. He's been very popular with the girls since high school. He also really enjoys this feeling of being surrounded by everyone. Perhaps because he's always been around many women. He understands women very well, so it's understandable that a little princess would be attracted to a married man. It's understandable." Song Xinyu was probing to see if Xiao Qingxue knew about my relationship with Wen Yue Ting. Even though they didn't register their marriage, they did have a wedding ceremony. If Xiao Qingxue bothered to investigate, she could definitely find clues about the wedding that year. Xiao Qingxue saw through his thoughts with a single glance. "Mr. Song doesn't know that Miss Wen and Xian didn't register their marriage, but I do. Mr. Song has been with Miss Wen for 3 years, yet she can't even be honest about this. That shows that in your Miss Wen's heart, your position has always been that of a third party who can't be seen. It's one thing for outsiders to think Mr. Song is the third party, but Miss Wen could clearly give you a proper status, yet she kept you in the position of a third party from beginning to end." Xiao Qingxue's every sentence called him the third party, making Song Xinyu's face turn pale then green. Song Xinyu clenched his fingers, his nails digging deep into his palm before he could steady himself. "Do you think he loves you?" "He loves Wen Yue Ting. 3 years ago, he slit his wrists to commit suicide for Wen Yue Ting. Now he's just using you. Are you willing to become a link in the relationship between Gu Xian and someone else?" "Miss Xia, you are the prestigious princess of Jingcheng. Gu Xian is merely targeting your status and position, just using you to suppress Wen Yue Ting, or to make Wen Yue Ting jealous." Song Xinyu doesn't believe that I and Xiao Qingxue have developed a substantial relationship. After all, the time we've known each other is too short. Logically speaking, me being with Xiao Qingxue, he should be happy. That way, the possibility of me and Wen Yue Ting getting back together would be even smaller. But he's afraid that over time, the pretense will become real. Xiao Qingxue is definitely a tougher nut to crack than Wen Yue Ting. Moreover, with Xiao Qingxue as my backing, his situation will only become more difficult. So no matter what, he has to destroy the relationship between me and Xiao Qingxue. Song Xinyu saw Xiao Qingxue's tightly knitted brows and cold gaze, and it seemed she was somewhat convinced. Song Xinyu pressed his advantage. "Miss Xia, with your status and position, you shouldn't be willing to become a plaything for a man's amusement, right?" Song Xinyu used all the malicious words he could, just wanting to turn them into a knife, to cruelly sever their relationship. Xiao Qingxue's gaze turned sharp. She stared coldly at Song Xinyu and sneered, but her tone was extremely cold. "So this is the extent of your provocative skills. Let me tell you, Xian and I have been together for 3 years. At first, he was my sugar daddy, and I was happy to be used by him. I was willing to be his plaything. Every day I serve him with all my heart, just to please him, to see him smile. I don't care about anything else." After saying this, Xiao Qingxue turned and left. She didn't want to get entangled with Song Xinyu here. Song Xinyu's expression became extremely ugly again. What did Xiao Qingxue mean? They've been together for 3 years. Go Xian being Xiao Qingxue's sugar daddy. He recognized every word, but when strung together and spoken by Xiao Qingxue, it became something absurd. How could that be? But Song Xinyu quickly reacted. If it was 3 years ago, then it was likely when Wen Yue Ting took Song Xinyu abroad. I was provoked. So Gu Xian let himself go and found a woman. And that woman happened to be Miss Xia. So what's this about being a sugar daddy? But looking at Xiao Qingxue's expression, she didn't seem to be lying. This was a huge blow to Song Xinyu. It was so difficult to drive a wedge between me and Wen Yue Ting, and now a princess from Jingcheng appears. If Xiao Qingxue really sided with me, how could he ruin my reputation and leave me with nothing? No, he must break them up. He looked at Xiao Qingxue's departing figure and suddenly chased after her. Before Xiao Qingxue got in the car, he yelled at her back. Gu Xian has long been tainted. Xiao Qingxue, who was about to get in the car, suddenly turned around. She stood in front of Song Xinyu, her entire aura cold. Her expression was also not pleasant. It was as if a 10,000-year blizzard was brewing in her eyes. Seeing her like this, Song Xinyu felt extremely satisfied. No woman could withstand this provocation, right? Xiao Qingxue's voice grew even colder. Mr. Song, did you time travel from the feudal era? In my heart, no matter what kind of past Shen has been through, how many women he has loved, I don't care at all, because it is these past experiences that have shaped him into who he is at this moment. The real him, standing openly and honorably before me. In contrast, what Mr. Song has done is truly despicable, truly disgusting. Xiao Qingxue, who was usually in front of outsiders, was always a woman of few words, rarely saying so much. Song Xinyu looked at her, so majestic and cruel, and only felt a wave of pressure, pressing down on him so hard he couldn't breathe. The evening glow of the sunset shone on her, like a goddess, but Song Xinyu felt that the light on her was too dazzling. This feeling was very familiar. She and I were like the same kind of people, the kind born bathed in sunlight, the favored children of heaven. This made the existence of people like him even more like. The moldy moths crawling in the darkness on the ground, the more brightly they shone, the more he wanted to drag them down into the abyss, so they could also taste the darkness. Song Xinyu was cornered into silence. His whole body trembled, just lamenting his unfair fate. Why does everyone in this world like me? Xiao Qingxue took a step forward, half of her body sinking into the shadow cast by the building. She stood against the light, her entire aura suddenly dropping. Her voice was cold, even carrying a hint of ruthlessness, carrying a chilling warning. Song Xinyu, if I ever hear you slander Gu Xian again, or smear his name, even just one sentence, watch your tongue. A chill ran down Song Xinyu's spine. He could feel that the person before him seemed to really have a way to tear him apart. That almost deadly sense of oppression made it hard for him to breathe. He even stood there, trembling unconsciously. After saying this, Xiao Qingxue left. Song Xinyu stood there for a long time, his whole body cold. Xiao Qingxue drove away. The car sped through the city, at a very high speed. In the end, she still stopped the car, and slammed her hands on the steering wheel. She admitted it. Because of Song Xinyu's words, her heart was in a bit of a turmoil. The words she had just said to Song Xinyu, every single word came from the heart. Of course, she couldn't just because of this matter. Look down on me in the slightest. Just the thought of Wen Yue Ting being my first woman made her a little jealous. It wasn't just jealousy, it was madness. She even wanted to tear Wen Yue Ting to pieces, to vent the hatred in her heart. Xiao Qingxue sat in the car for a long time, and finally managed to adjust her mood. That man Song Xinyu's purpose was so obvious. If she was provoked by it, she would be as stupid as Wen Yue Ting. On the other hand, I received an assignment at the TV station. During the morning meeting of the news department, Tang Ling said, Shen, the Paradise Resort Village project officially starts tomorrow. There's a groundbreaking ceremony there tomorrow. The station has scheduled an interview with their project manager. You should prepare for it. I only knew that for this Paradise Resort Village project, the construction was contracted to Hai Fong Construction Company, but I didn't know Wen Yue Ting would personally be in charge of this project and be its project manager. After all, her experience is still shallow, and she has no experience with large-scale construction projects. It should have been the vice president or Wen Chengye himself. Regardless, this is great news for the Wen family. I gladly agreed. We will be following this Paradise Resort Village project long-term, doing a long-running special feature. From now on, you'll be in charge of this special project. Of course, you can form your own team. Feel free to choose anyone from the station. Everyone will cooperate with you. I nodded. I will do my best. 7:30 p.m. After finishing the news broadcast, I got off work. Just as I walked out of the television building, I saw a familiar car parked at the gate. I smiled, walked over, opened the passenger door, and got in. What gives you the time to pick me up from work today? Xiao Qingxue's expression was quite serious. I missed you. I habitually reached out and stroked her head. It seems you're in a bad mood today. Only then did Xiao Qingxue smile. Not at all. Women sometimes know how to lie. Xiao Qingxue's mood today was extremely bad, because only when she's in a bad mood does she torment people in bed like that. I propped myself up, savoring every little expression of hers. What I like most is seeing her intoxicated and lost in love. Xiao Qingxue used every trick in the book tonight, doing her utmost to please me. I was also completely immersed in it, but right at the most dizzying and captivating moment, a seductive voice suddenly sounded in my ear. Me and him, who's better? Waves of dizziness washed over me like a heat wave. I couldn't react at all. What? Xiao Qingxue leaned in closer, staring into my eyes. Compared to my infatuation, she seemed particularly clear-headed today. Her voice was husky, lingering by my ear, extremely gentle, like she was coaxing, and like a child wanting candy, acting cute. Me and Wen Yue Ting. Who's better? Hearing Wen Yue Ting's name, I became much more sober. I opened my eyes, The infatuation in my eyes receded quickly like the tide, replaced by a cold sobriety. Xiao Qingxue also noticed. A thin layer of anger had appeared in my eyes. She hurriedly apologized. I am sorry, but I had seen through her thoughts. I pushed her away directly. Xiao Qingxue, you've crossed the line. The blanket was covering her up to her waist, revealing a patch of fair, smooth skin, especially her somewhat resentful expression. She looked just like a little hungry wolf seducing people with her beauty. Can't I even mention it a little? Could it be that Wen Yue Ting is his forbidden territory? She had only just stepped on it a little, and I was already angry. Miss Xia, let me remind you once again, we are together to have fun, not to make each other uncomfortable. I was truly a little angry. I was angry because it turns out this woman cared that I wasn't a virgin. My first time was, of course, not with Wen Yue Ting. What happened that day, it's like I have amnesia. I have no impression of it at all. I only know my body was violated. But by whom? I don't know. After so many years of investigation, I haven't found a single clue. My intuition tells me it's related to Song X Xinyu, but I can't find any evidence right now. Thinking about this, I felt extremely uncomfortable. I stood up and went straight to the bathroom. When I came out after showering, Xiao Qingxue was still sitting on the bed with a wronged expression. I am sorry, but I am absolutely not what you think. I was just a little jealous. Xiao Qingxue seemed a bit annoyed. She herself didn't know why. Even if it were someone else, she wouldn't be this jealous, because that person is Wen Yue Ting, my childhood sweetheart of over 20 years, although their relationship has soured now. But Xiao Qingxue wasn't sure whether I still had her in my heart. Don't be angry anymore. Okay? The way she looked down really resembled an innocent little puppy. I also sat down by the bed, sighed, leaned in, and kissed the corner of her lips. I am not angry. Then I stared into Xiao Qingxue's eyes. But Xiao Qingxue, don't actually fall in love with me. Otherwise, it will really be over between us. Xiao Qingxue was a bit unwilling. Why? Is it just because of the hurt Wen Yue Ting caused you that other people have to bear the consequences? I said calmly, because I don't love you. Xiao Qingxue was stunned. I'll sleep on the 3rd floor tonight. You go take a shower and sleep too. I was very calm, and also very gentle. After saying that, I left Xiao Qingxue's room. When I first moved in, I said I would stay in the room on the 3rd floor, not interfering with each other's privacy. But during this period, we always slept in each other's arms, to the point that Xiao Qingxue had forgotten that we had an agreement back then. But Xiao Qingxue didn't understand why I could always be so sober and restrained. It's been 3 years. Even a stone's heart should have been warmed by now. It was clear that during this time, they were like a couple passionately in love, and she had gradually felt my attachment to her. But now, because of one sentence, they were back to square one overnight. So he cares about Wen Yue Ting that much? On the other hand, I returned to my room, and my mood couldn't calm down for a long time. I didn't explain to Xiao Qingxue because it was fundamentally impossible to explain clearly. Early, the next morning, Xiao Qingxue came out of her room, just as she saw me coming down the stairs. Good morning, baby. I greeted her as usual. Morning. Xiao Qingxue also replied. The two of them had breakfast together, then each went to their own company. Everything was as usual. I went to the Paradise Resort Village with the photographer, Zhao Yuan. Today I had to conduct an interview and collect the most original materials, planning to do a long-term special feature on the construction process of the resort. The Paradise Resort Village is located in the most remote suburb of Rong City. The place is surrounded by mountains and rivers with charming scenery. It was a 2-hour drive to reach the resort's project department. The executive director of the project department received them. Reporter Gu, our project general manager, is presiding over the groundbreaking ceremony. She can be interviewed by you later. I said, then let's go have a look. Zhao Yuan and I were brought to the site of the groundbreaking ceremony. The project's general manager was giving the opening speech. I was a little surprised. It was Wen Yue Ting again. Such a big project, and the Wen family let Wen Yue Ting bear the responsibility. Wen Yue Ting stood on the temporary stage, holding a microphone and giving a speech. Today, she wore a white shirt and a gray pencil skirt. She stood gracefully on the stage. I suddenly thought of their university days. During our freshman year, Wen Yue Ting suddenly ran up to me demanding a gift. Shen, go buy me a formal dress this afternoon. I didn't understand why. Tomorrow is the graduation ball. I want to wear a beautiful dress to dance with you. Then go buy it yourself. Is it the same if you give it to me versus me buying it myself? In the end, I still chose a dress for her. Wen Yue Ting was very pleased after putting it on. While dancing, she kept asking if she looked beautiful. Our youth seemed to have passed so long ago, but sometimes it felt like just yesterday. I am not being nostalgic, it's just regret. Even if we weren't lovers, for the first 20 years of our lives, we both saw each other as the most important friend in our lives. How did it come to this? In a daze, Wen Yue Ting finished her speech. Next was the ribbon-cutting ceremony and the toast. It was really just a formality. It was over soon after. Executive Director Hao Zhen hurried onto the stage and whispered something in Wen Yue Ting's ear. Then, a glance was cast in my direction. Our eyes met. The distance wasn't actually that far, but it felt like 1,000 rivers and mountains separated us. Wen Yue Ting quickly came down from the stage and walked to my side. Her voice seemed a little flustered, and also a little pleasantly surprised. Xian, I didn't expect you to be the one coming for the interview today. Otherwise, I would have definitely received you personally. The smile on my face was faint, and my tone was very formal. CEO Wen, you're too kind. I am just here for an interview today, and to take some on-site footage. Okay. Whatever you want to do, well, cooperate. The interview went very smoothly. Zhao Yuan and I were about to go to the site to take some photos. Wen Yue Ting hurriedly followed. I'll go with you. My tone was faint. CEO Wen, you have 1,000 things to do. There's no need to come with us. Wen Yue Ting said, the resort is very large. There are some places I think you might not be familiar with. How about I show you the way? In the end, I didn't refuse. After all, we were on her turf. Wen Yue Ting and I walked in front, while the photographer Zhao Yuan walked behind, stopping occasionally to take pictures. Wen Yue Ting was always observing my expression. I remained calm from beginning to end, with a very nonchalant attitude, handling the job professionally, but I clearly wasn't like this with her before. Xian. Finally, she couldn't help but stop walking. I also stopped. CEO Wen, with our current relationship, you should probably still call me Reporter Gu. Don't you want to know why I broke up with you back then? I frowned, my voice tinged with sarcasm. Now that you mention it, I am quite interested. There were too many mysteries in their past. Regardless of their current relationship, wanting to know the truth is an instinct. Wen Yue Ting's eyes seemed to be filled with regret and guilt. Did you know that Song Xinyu can imitate your handwriting? He imitates it perfectly. He stole your diary. During the summer break when we went to summer camp, he pretended to have taken your notebook by mistake and asked me to return it to you, but I couldn't resist looking at it back then. At this point, I had roughly guessed what happened next. Song Xinyu must have imitated my handwriting and wrote some provocative and divisive things. What did Song Xinyu write? That you didn't even have the courage to question it, but I also guessed it was probably related to that incident. Wen Yue Ting's gaze flickered unpredictably, and a hint of embarrassment appeared on her face. That diary is at the Wen family home, in the safe in my room. You know the combination to the safe. If you want to know, you can go and see it, I replied calmly. Okay. I got it. I didn't want to see how Song Xinyu had stirred up trouble, but I had been investigating that incident for a long time without any clues. I always felt it was related to Song Xinyu. I had to find out the truth. After learning the truth, I still maintained an indifferent expression. This was like a splash of cold water on Wen Yue Ting. Xian. I admit I was blind. My heart was blind, too. But I was also plotted against and provoked by Song Xinyu. Can you give me another chance? I want to make up for everything I owe you. I looked at her with a half smile. How do you want to make it up? A glimmer of hope seemed to flash in Wen Yue Ting's eyes. She took my hand, carefully probing. Xian, can we start over? Wen Yue Ting's voice was pleading and humble. I pulled my hand out of her palm, looking at her with a half smile. Wen Yue Ting, what makes you think? That just because you turned back. I have to turn back too. Wen Yue Ting's expression gradually became unsightly. And what makes you think that between you and Xiao Qingxue, I would choose you over her? Is it based on your narcissism and ignorance? Wen Yue Ting's face became extremely ugly. Xian, I know you won't forgive me. In front of you, I've never been narcissistic, only insecure. She knew that the resentment of the past 3 years couldn't just disappear because of her repentance, but right now, she really wanted to hold on to me. These past few days, old memories had tormented her day and night. She finally realized that I was the most precious person in her life. My love had once been so selfless, clean, passionate, and pure. It was the complete opposite of Song Xinyu's dirty calculations. Every time she thought about what she had done to me in the past, she wished she could give that foolish version of herself 2 punches. Wen Yue Ting continued, Xiao Qingxue isn't the right person for you. Her family clan has complicated relationships. A top-tier family like that will definitely choose a marriage alliance with a family of equal standing in the end. I've investigated the Xia family. They value the Zhou family and the Shen family the most. Both are major families in Jingcheng. If you really end up with her, at most you'll just be a secret lover who can't be seen in public. I laughed coldly, the corners of my mouth curling into a sarcastic smile. It seems you're actually thinking about my well-being. Wen Yue Ting lowered her eyes. I know I am very selfish, but I still don't want to lose you. These past few days, I've been thinking about our past, thinking about our school days, those carefree, free-spirited times, the days when we only had eyes for each other. Can we really not go back? I didn't hesitate. I just heaved a heavy sigh. Don't bring up the past anymore. Let's look forward. For the sake of the Wen family, I don't want to fall out with you, but let me make it clear. I absolutely won't go back to an old flame. Is it because of Xiao Qingxue? Could it be that our 20 years of feelings are not worth 1 month of you two being together? Wen Yue Ting seemed a little agitated. I turned around, my gaze meeting Wen Yue Ting's directly, calm and deep, without a single ripple. But my words were like a thunderbolt striking Wen Yue Ting. She and I have been together for 3 years, ever since the day you and Song Xinyu went abroad. So she and I are not like you people. who think we've only known each other for a month. The cause and effect between you and me has ended, while the fate between her and me has just begun. Whatever fruit it bears in the future, I will accept my fate. Wen Yue Ting was stunned for a long time before she reacted. You two have really been together for 3 years. My voice was calm. I have no reason to lie to you. The last spark in Wen Yue Ting's heart seemed to have been extinguished. 3 years. For 3 years. No wonder there was always a sense of understanding and intimacy between them, like a couple. For a moment, Wen Yue Ting was speechless. Wen Yue Ting, let's both just take care of ourselves. After speaking, I walked quickly forward. Wen Yue Ting was stunned for a second, then suddenly ran over and pushed me hard. I was surprised for half a second. Suddenly, something heavy slammed down. Then I heard Wen Yue Ting cough heavily. She coughed up a mouthful of blood, followed by a wooden plank, crashing to the ground. I looked up. It turned out there was a tower crane operating above them, clearing debris from the site. At that moment, the crane was lifting a pile of wooden planks above their heads. Perhaps because it was tied loosely, one of the planks slipped out and fell straight towards their heads. The wooden plank wasn't actually big, but because it was a falling object from a height, it fell at a high speed, hitting Wen Yue Ting on the back. It hit her so hard, she coughed up blood. This plank was originally going to hit me. My expression immediately turned serious. Wen Yue Ting, are you okay? Wen Yue Ting was hit so hard she had to bend over. Her face was pale, and her expression was extremely painful, but she still endured it, forcing out a few words through gritted teeth. I am fine. How can you be fine? I remained calm. I quickly called Zhao Yuan, who was not far away, to help. Very quickly, Executive Director Hao Jin also ran over. CEO Wen, are you all right? Hao Jin had been sent from the Wen family and had been working under Wen Yue Ting during this time. She was hit by a wooden plank that slipped from the crane. We need to get her to a hospital quickly. The crane operator also hurried over. What's wrong? What happened? Hao Jin pointed at the crane operator and shouted loudly, you're finished. Well, deal with you later. Wen Yue Ting was rushed to the medical room, but the project department's medical room was newly established. It only had a simple clinic, 1 doctor, and 2 nurses. Half an hour later, Wen Yue Ting was sitting on a chair, lifting her shirt for the doctor to examine. Her complexion had improved slightly, and she was no longer coughing up blood. Her back was swollen, with a large bruise. The doctor, in his 50 seconds and wearing glasses, said after the examination, for now, it seems to be nothing, just a soft tissue injury to the back. But she was vomiting blood just now. I suggest going to a major hospital in the city for a comprehensive checkup as soon as possible. There might be internal injuries. I said directly, we shouldn't delay. Just take our car to Ruin Hospital. Let's go now. But Wen Yue Ting sat motionless on the chair. After a moment of silence, she said, I'm fine now. There's no need to go back. I frowned at her. Wen Yue Ting, this is no laughing matter. I also felt quite conflicted. Wen Yue Ting had taken a hit for me. I couldn't just sit back and do nothing. During the standoff, Hao Jin suddenly spoke up from the side. Reporter Gu, there's something you don't know. Although our project director is the highest commander of Party B, she is still constrained by the leadership of Party A. Our young lady was exiled to this place. After the project started, our young lady has to eat and live on the front lines. She can't go back unless it's necessary. This is only the first day. If our young lady says she's injured and needs to go back to rest, I am afraid the XI family will think she's faking it, leaving the impression that she can't handle responsibility. If they use this as an excuse to directly replace the contractor, our young lady can't bear this responsibility. I frowned. You're saying Xiao Qingxue won't let you go back? Wen Yue Ting was silent for a moment. She's probably afraid it'll cling to you. My expression was calm, without a ripple. Go back for a checkup first. I'll explain things to her if anything comes up. Hao Zhen said from the side. Reporter Gu, we all know you're Miss Sia's boyfriend. Why don't you ask for Miss Sia's permission first? I looked at Wen Yue Ting's pale face and finally picked up my phone to dial a number. When the other end picked up, she sounded a little pleasantly surprised. Why the sudden call? There's something I need to tell you. I am at the Paradise Resort. Wen Yue Ting is injured. I want to ask for leave for her, so she can go to the city hospital for treatment. Even though Xiao Qingxue said nothing, I could feel the atmosphere on the other end suddenly drop. A few seconds later, Xiao Qingxue spoke coldly. She's injured. Why are you the one asking for leave for her? My voice was calm, but I explained it anyway. I came here for an interview today. A heavy object fell from a crane, and Wen Yue Ting saved me. Xiao Qingxue's cold laugh came from the other end. Just yesterday, she was so ruthless, and today she's playing the life-saving hero. Are you sure it's not a self-harm ploy she deliberately set up? I was silent for a moment, looking at Wen Yue Ting sitting on the chair with her pale face, then said, this was an accident. Actually, I had my suspicions too, but I quickly dismissed the thought because the risk was too great. A heavy object falling from such a height could very well be fatal. Besides, I knew that, although Wen Yue Ting was sometimes foolish, she wouldn't resort to such tricks. She was arrogant, insecure, and proud. She was actually a simple-minded person. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been led by the nose, by Song Xinyu for so many years. Of course, the most important piece of evidence was that Wen Yue Ting had no idea I would be coming for the interview today. Her shock and surprise when she first saw me were not faked. Xia Qing. Xu's voice was clearly suppressing anger. Why are you so sure? I said almost without hesitation. Because I understand her. Wen Yue Ting was also looking at me, her eyes revealing a hint of caution. In fact, the words they were saying, she could vaguely hear a little of. The crane accident really wasn't staged. At that moment, seeing a wooden plank falling from the sky at an extremely fast speed, she had rushed forward almost without thinking. When she came to her senses, she felt lucky she hadn't been killed. She also saw her own heart clearly. She loved me, even more than she had imagined. She couldn't just hand me over. No matter what relationship I had with Xiao Qingxue now, she had a trump card. The bond of growing up together since childhood, an emotional bond of over 20 years, wasn't easily severed. Turning and walking out of the medical room, my voice sounded a little helpless. Xiao Qingxue, asking for leave for her, doesn't mean anything is going on between us, and it certainly doesn't mean anything will happen in the future. I've already said, I won't go back to an old flame. To me, Wen Yue Ting is just a familiar stranger. You don't need to target her because of me. How did I target her? You have a project director eating and living with frontline workers. She can't return without permission. Isn't that a bit much? Xiao Qingxue laughed again, colder than before. She snitched to you. What else did she say? My voice also turned a little cold. Nothing. Actually, I don't want to care about what you do. I just hope you don't bring personal feelings into it because of me. A big project like the Paradise Resort doesn't need personal grudges mixed in. I was very clear-headed. I never thought about getting back together with Wen Yue Ting, but with Xiao Qingxue, in the process of living together day and night, I had indeed become a bit muddled. This woman's possessiveness was too strong. Even though we had agreed on 3 rules early on, it couldn't stop her from crossing the line time and time again. If this continued, something would happen sooner or later. Xiao Qingxue laughed coldly. Isn't it just asking for leave? Fine. I'll personally send someone to pick her up. After saying that, Xiao Qingxue hung up. In less than half an hour, Xiao Qingxue's people arrived. She sent a helicopter. That was good too. Driving back would take at least 2 hours, but by plane, they arrived in Rongcheng in less than half an hour. Wen Yue Ting was taken to Ruyan Hospital. After an examination, her lung was bruised. Luckily, she was brought in time, otherwise, she would have needed surgery. I handled the admission procedures for Wen Yue Ting. 2 hours later, Wen Yue Ting had changed into a patient's gown and was lying in a VIP ward bed. I had taken care of everything. Then I said, just rest and recuperate in the hospital for a few days. Don't think about other things too much. Well, talk after your body has recovered. Wen Yue Ting looked at me from the bed and called my name softly. Shen. I frowned. Wen Yue Ting, you saved me. I am very grateful, but nothing between us will change because of this. So don't get any other ideas, lest you end up disappointed. Wen Yue Ting's eyes darkened. It was as if I could see right through her thoughts. Wen Yue Ting was a little embarrassed and could only change the subject. About my injury, don't tell my parents. I am afraid they'll worry, I said calmly. Then I'll find a caregiver for you. Disappointment showed on Wen Yue Ting's face. She was just hoping that I could visit her every day, get some rest. I am leaving now. I walked to the door, but was stopped by Wen Yue Ting. Are you coming tomorrow? My steps paused for a moment. Sorry, I probably won't have time recently. How could I not understand Wen Yue Ting's thoughts? But I didn't want to get entangled because of this favor, leaving the hospital. I happened to run into Xiao Qingxue. Xiao Qingxue didn't look very good, as if she were sulking, but she still took the initiative to ask. How is she? Bruised lung. She needs to be hospitalized. Xiao Qingxue was silent for a moment, then laughed coldly. That's quite an investment. I glanced at her. Can you not be so childish? Xiao Qingxue stared at the man in front of her. She knew the possibility of Wen Yue Ting staging it was very small, but what happened had brought 2 people who had completely cut ties back together. Just thinking about this made her inexplicably angry, but she also knew that I had no patience for her. All day long, I just thought about how to draw a clear line with her. Even at our most passionate moments, I was always sober, but she couldn't appear to care too much. The moment she revealed a trace of her true feelings, I would say she crossed the line. She wished she could use that as a reason to break up with him completely. Xiao Qingxue forced a smile. It's good that she's okay. I am not that heartless. Then let her rest well. I'll have someone take good care of her. I grunted in agreement. Xiao Qingxue came to my side. Let's go to the supermarket together. I'll cook for you tonight. Xiao Qingxue was a very good cook, but she was very busy and rarely cooked. Actually, I was quite craving her cooking. But in the end, I still refused. I have to go to the Wen family's house tonight. I can't have dinner with you today. I walked to Xiao Qingxue's side, bent down, and lifted her cheek. I gave her a deep kiss. I am leaving first. I might be back a little late tonight. After speaking, I hurried to the Wen family's house. I quickly arrived at Wen Yue Ting's room. I successfully opened the safe with the combination. The safe was very empty. There was only one diary. I squatted down and took the diary out from inside. It was the diary I had lost in the first semester of my sophomore year. It was still brand new, with no signs of being frequently read. Wen Yue Ting must have only looked at it once. I took that diary and slowly walked to the sofa. Holding this diary, my mood was extremely complicated. I never expected that a small diary could completely change the trajectory of my life. Opening it, all the schemes and tricks would be completely exposed. It would probably affect the fate of several people again. I still slowly opened that diary. The first few pages were all written by me, recording some interesting things in college and future plans. Finally, I turned to the first page that Song Xinyu had written, imitating my handwriting. May 1st. Clear skies. Watched a ding dance today and saw the scar on her waist. It's so ugly. So scary. That incident back then, I've always felt a little guilty about it, and once said I would take responsibility for her. But when I look into my heart, I find that I am growing more and more disgusted with her. It was clearly her own carelessness, so why blame it on me, making me feel guilty for life? May 7th. Today, Wen Yue Ting argued with someone, and it ended up at the police station. Why is she still so childish? Ever since we were young, I seem to have always been cleaning up her messes. I am sick of it. In the end, I still have to comfort her. She's forever like a child who won't grow up. When will she ever mature a little? May 23rd. Overcast. I really can't stand Wen Yue Ting anymore. She's as stupid as a screaming groundhog. In our debate today, we clearly had victory in our grasp, but in the end, because of her, others took advantage of an opening. I really want to split her head open and see if it's empty. Ever since elementary school, she's been bad at this and that. She's infuriatingly stupid. She just got lucky, being reborn into a rich family. If she were an ordinary person, she would surely amount to nothing. She wouldn't even get into college. June 9th. Cloudy. Today, Wen Yue Ting wanted to kiss me, but I actually don't feel anything for her. I even feel disgusted just thinking about the scar on her waist. It's so repulsive. Her existence always reminds me that I owe her. I hate this feeling so much. I even think, would this feeling only disappear if she died? Of course, I don't wish for her death. I am just thinking. July 30th. Sunny. Takahashi told me she likes me. She thinks I am especially handsome. I am a little moved. She's really much better than Wen Yue Ting. She seems more feminine. 2. When I kiss her, I really enjoy it. These are things Wen Yue Ting can't give me. It's just that I can't let Wen Yue Ting know about this yet, but the feeling of two-timing really isn't bad. It's just dating. After all, it's not like I want to get married. August 19th. Rainy. Takahashi and I did it. That feeling was amazing. It's just a pity Takahashi knows it wasn't my first time. My first time was lost on that stormy day during the summer break. Luckily, Wen Yue Ting doesn't know. I've been with Wen Yue Ting for 2 years, always proper. At most, we just hold hands. Seeing the burns on her waist and legs from that year, I immediately lost interest. If I really marry her, does that mean I have to be abstinent for the rest of my life? My fingers began to tremble. I gripped the edge of the diary until it deformed. Song Xinyu had imitated my handwriting to write a whole volume, from the trivial details of life to the major events on special days. Even I was very surprised. Song Xinyu. It was as if he was always invading every day of my past, every single detail. Just thinking about it was a little creepy. No wonder, when Yue Ting said at the beginning that I looked down on her, that in my heart I despised her and wished she were dead. This diary constructed a psychological world that was dark, twisted, and couldn't see the light. And so was Song Xinyu. He had accurately calculated that with Wen Yue Ting's self-esteem, pride, and cowardice, she would never come to confront me. I have to admit, Song Xinyu is a master at manipulating people's hearts. I finally answered some of my initial questions, but these were not the answers I was looking for. Regarding that incident, the diary didn't mention much, but there's one thing I can be sure of. That incident is definitely related to Song Xinyu, because that day was a rare storm that year. I left the Wen family's house. I didn't even stay for dinner. I threw the diary onto the passenger seat of the car. I sped along the city's highway. My head was splitting, and my vision started to blur. The cold sweat on my back had soaked through my thin shirt. I knew in my heart that my depression was relapsing, and it was accompanied by severe physical symptoms. I've always had severe depression, but because I met Dr. Xiao through Dr. Xiao's treatment, I had gotten much better. But then Gu Haoming returned, and Qin Hailan abandoned me. She even hated me to the bone. Coupled with the betrayal of both Song Xinyu and Wen Yue Ting, my depression relapsed. It even turned into bipolar disorder. That's why I once slit my wrists. It was Dr. Xiao who pulled me back from the brink of collapse. But I also knew that my inner self was like a buried bomb. What troubled me the most was that when my illness acted up, my head would feel like it was splitting apart. When the pain was unbearable, I could only rely on painkillers. I stopped the car by the side of the road, and with trembling hands, I took something from the car's glove compartment, a small medicine box. It was the painkiller I usually took. Actually, I hadn't taken it in a long time. After living with Xiao Qingxue, my sleep had improved a lot. My headaches hadn't recurred either. I opened the small medicine box, only to find it was empty inside. The last painkiller pill had been taken. I suddenly became irritable. I rummaged through every corner of the car, but still couldn't find any. My emotions grew increasingly frustrated. My gaze fell on that diary. The things Song Xinyu had done once again crawled into my mind like countless insects, gnawing at my nerves. I became more and more irritable. I suddenly started the car again, driving straight to an apartment complex. My head was dizzy, and it throbbed as if it were being split open. But I still managed to drive to the ground floor of the Lianhua apartment building, because I knew Song Xinyu was currently living there. I staggered out of the car, then climbed to the second floor. I propped myself up in front of the door, knocking hard. The door opened quickly, and Song Xinyu was standing right there. Anne, why are you here? Song Gijin, you seemed very surprised, but I didn't waste time with pleasantries. I directly reached out with one hand and tightly gripped Song Xinyu's throat. My eyes were bloodshot. Song Xinyu, why did you harm me? I treated you so well. Why did you destroy everything I had? My fingers gradually tightened. With my hand around his neck, Song Xinyu was completely unable to resist. His face turned red, but he couldn't utter a single word. He could only try to pull with his hands at my hand that was strangling him. But no matter how he pulled, I was like a great mountain, standing still without moving. My fingers kept applying pressure. I was like a demon crawling out of hell. My pale face looked somewhat ferocious under the fluorescent light. Song Xinyu, die. My fingers applied more force. Fresh blood flowed from Song Xinyu's lips. Then fresh blood trickled from his eyes, nose, and ears, flowing onto my hand. But it was as if I didn't see it. My hand continued to increase the force. Then I heard a crack. I had finally broken Song Xinyu's neck. I suddenly came to my senses. I killed someone. I looked around and found myself lying on a comfortable sofa. I suddenly sat up, looking at my own two hands, muttering to myself, I killed someone. The scene of me killing Song Xinyu kept flooding into my mind. My thoughts were chaotic, my breathing rapid. A glass of warm milk was held out in front of me. A gentle voice came from in front of me. You didn't kill anyone. You just had an episode and were hallucinating. I breathed a sigh of relief. I really thought I had killed him. Then I calmed down a bit. I took the glass of milk the woman offered. Dr. Xiao, how did I get here? Xiao Qingxue said, you called me before your episode. I used your phone's location to find you. When I arrived, your car was stopped on the side of the road. You were already in a semi-conscious state. I didn't remember any of this at all. I rested for a moment. My medicine is gone. Can you prescribe me some more? Okay, Xiao Qingxue said. Your condition has been stable for a long time. Why did it suddenly relapse? Is it because of this diary? When Xiao Qingxue found me, I was clutching that diary tightly in my hand. Xiao Qingxue handed the diary over. Don't worry, I didn't look. But I didn't take it. You can look. It might be helpful for my treatment. Xiao Qingxue is my psychiatrist. She is also the only person who knows everything about me. Whether it was what happened that year, or the matter with Wen Yue Ting and Song Xinyu, or the fact that I sponsored a girl 3 years ago. You could say I have no privacy in front of her. But later, after my condition stabilized, we hadn't been in contact for several months. Xiao Qingxue put the diary away. Okay, then I'll keep this diary with me for now. I seem to have sobered up. Where's my phone? Xiao Qingxue handed me my phone. I opened it and looked. It was already 4 a.m. I was a bit surprised. Have I been asleep for that long? Xiao Qingxue said, you woke up once in the middle of it. Your dissociative disorder relapsed. You wanted to kill me. I had to give you a sedative. I don't just have depression, but also a mild dissociative disorder. It's just that so far, including today, the dissociative disorder has only relapsed twice. When the dissociative disorder relapses, I lose myself. I lose control of myself. Another personality even appears. I also lose my memory after an episode. The first time it happened was the night I slit my wrist. Actually, I don't even remember how I slit my wrist. I never expected that Song Xinyu's diary would provoke me, to the point where my dissociative disorder relapsed. I looked up. My gaze unconsciously fell on Xiao Qingxue's neck. Sure enough, there was a red mark there. It turns out my hallucination of killing Song Xinyu wasn't just a hallucination. I am sorry, Dr. Xiao. Xiao Qingxue pushed up the glasses on her nose, her tone gentle. There's no need for such formalities between us. Then Xiao Qingxue suddenly seemed to remember something. Oh, right. Your phone was ringing constantly earlier. I answered it for you. I picked up my phone to look. It was a call from Xiao Qingxue. What did you say? Xiao Qingxue said, I just said I was your friend, and that you were staying at my place tonight. My head started to ache inexplicably again. How did she react? Xiao Qingxue looked quite innocent. She hung up directly. I rubbed my temples. I could already imagine the sight of Xiao Qingxue's jealousy flaring up. But I knew my current condition was very bad. Moreover, Xiao Qingxue only knew that I suffered from insomnia. She didn't know I had so many problems. And she certainly didn't know about my past experiences. And these were things I didn't want her to know. My temples were still throbbing violently. I had no energy to explain anything. More importantly, there was still one matter left unresolved. I slept a little longer at Xiao Qingxue's house. When I woke up, it was 8 a.m. Xiao Qingxue had already gone to her private clinic. The house was unusually quiet. It wasn't my first time staying here. Previously, when my condition flared up, I had stayed here for a long time, so I was extremely familiar with everything here. Xiao Qingxue's home was a large apartment in a high-end complex, and it was on the top floor. The living room had a floor-to-ceiling glass wall and was incredibly spacious. The view was excellent. I stood in front of the window and stared intently outside. I took out my phone and made a call. "Senior brother, I want to borrow something from you." "What do you want?" "Your pets." I stayed in the large apartment until noon, until my senior brother called to report that everything was arranged. Only then did I leave. Before leaving, I called Song Xinyu. My voice was calm, betraying no emotion whatsoever. "Song Xinyu, let's meet." The other end was silent for 2 seconds, then he immediately agreed. "Okay, I have something to tell you too. Do you remember our secret base? I'll wait for you at the old place." After hanging up, I immediately drove to Qingcheng Mountain. Qingcheng Mountain was a luxury villa area. Each villa had its own private garden, surrounded by tall trees. The privacy was excellent. The villa on Qingcheng Mountain was a birthday gift that Feng Yuping gave me when I turned 15. I really liked the environment there. In high school, I turned that place into a secret base that belonged only to me. Back then, Song Xinyu, Shen Nuo, and I, and Wen Yue Ting, the four of us, often came here to hang out. Only the four of them had ever been here. All four of us had registered for facial recognition. Any of us could open the main door here. When I entered, I found the garden overgrown with weeds and bushes. I hadn't set foot here in over 3 years. But amidst the chaos and decay, one could still faintly see the shadow of 3 years ago. Song Xinyu and I used to huddle there together to watch the stars. Song Xinyu always liked to sit next to me. "Gu, Shi, An, you are like the bright moon in the sky, and I am an ant on the ground. Thank you for being willing to be friends with someone like me." "Song Xinyu, what nonsense are you thinking about again?" I put my arm around his shoulder. "I am so afraid that one day you'll abandon me." I stood up. "Have you studied yourself, silly? Being so sentimental all day." Then I extended my hand to him again. "Song Xinyu, we will always be good friends." Thinking back to that scene now, I only felt it was incredibly ironic. The person I once treated with such sincerity was the one who stabbed me most deeply in the back. I walked straight into the house, into the basement. I checked the things my senior brother had sent. Very good. They looked very hungry. Then I went to the attic on the top floor of the villa. This was a surveillance room. Outside, the garden, and every room and hallway of the villa had surveillance cameras. I turned on the surveillance equipment. Rows of monitor screens immediately lit up. I sat on the chair and waited leisurely until a black Mercedes appeared in the camera's view. I knew this Mercedes. It was Wen Yue Ting's car. For the past month, Song Xinyu had been driving it. The car drove into the villa's courtyard and stopped. As expected, Song Xinyu got out of the car. Song Xinyu looked at the messy courtyard. He seemed to remember something as well. He stood in the yard for a long time before entering the house. Very quickly, Song Xinyu was standing outside the surveillance room. The surveillance room had no door. In fact, Song Xinyu was very surprised. On his way here, the doors to all the rooms seemed to have been removed. But Song Xinyu didn't think too hard about what was going on. I sat on the chair in the surveillance room. "Song Xinyu, you're here." Song Xinyu slowly walked in. His eyes were pitiful, his voice pleading. "Xian, can you help me?" I let out a loud laugh. He knelt on the ground with a remorseful expression, looking extremely pathetic. I crossed my legs. My face showed no trace of sympathy. "This habit of yours of kneeling at the drop of a hat is really hard to break, isn't it?" I leaned down and grabbed Song Xinyu's chin. "But this trick is useless on me now." My fingers tightened, and Song Xinyu gasped in pain. Only then did I let go. Song Xinyu said tearfully, "Gu Xian, you were born into a wealthy family, pampered since childhood. You could easily get anything you wanted, but I was born into hell. I was abused by my mother since I was little. Even wanting a set of clothes was as difficult as reaching for the sky. Do you know how painful it is to live in such circumstances? I admit that taking Wen Yue Ting was my fault, but Wen Yue Ting was the only thing I could grasp. In my barren life, I could only hold on for dear life. I am terrified of going back there. I am afraid of being poor. For you, losing Wen Yue Ting is just a matter of changing partners. With your background, you can still find someone of equal social standing and who is exceptionally outstanding. But Wen Yue Ting, to me, is the only straw I can grasp in my hopeless, drowning life, so I can only hold on for dear life. Gu Xian, you will never understand how my life has been from childhood, how suffocating my childhood was. If you just lived one day of my life, you would be able to sympathize with everything I've done." Song Xinyu cried pitifully. If it were before, perhaps I would have been swayed by his twisted logic, but now I was completely unmoved. I said, "If you love Wen Yue Ting, You could have confessed your feelings openly and pursued her, but all you used were despicable, low-handed tactics. Is there anything pitiful about someone like you? Openly. Could I ever win against you? Gu Xian, I know I am no match for you in any way. If I didn't use some tricks, Wen Yue Ting wouldn't have even given me a second glance, so you framed me. My innocence. My voice was icy. Xinyu was also stunned. His teary eyes looked at me. For a moment, emotions surged in my eyes. Saying so much was all to provoke his emotions, to probe him. Everything I said before was just to set up this question. If he was truly provoked, perhaps he would confess on his own. Xinyu looked innocent. Xian, what are you talking about? I did secretly imitate your handwriting to write that diary, causing a misunderstanding between you and Wen Yue Ting. But I never ruined your innocence. But I saw through Xinyu's disguise. Although the diary didn't explicitly admit he did it, I knew that incident and he were absolutely connected. Xinyu, I'll ask you again. During the summer vacation of our freshman year of college, what exactly did you do to me? Xinyu still played innocent. I really don't know what you're talking about. I stood up, looking down at Xinyu. I seemed to be enveloped in a layer of cold air. My entire aura was chillingly terrifying. Xinyu, this is your last chance. Tell me how you arranged it. Who was the person who violated me? Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. It wasn't me. It really wasn't me. I leaned down, staring at him. My gaze was terrifyingly cold. Then I turned and sat back in the surveillance chair. Then you can go, as long as you can get out. Xinyu didn't know what this sentence meant, but he could also sense that I was not right at the moment. It was like I had become a different person. Xinyu turned to leave. But as soon as Xinyu stepped out, he suddenly heard several terrifying roars. Xinyu quickened his pace. Just as he stepped out of the villa, he suddenly discovered 4 wolves in the courtyard. These 4 wolves were large and strong, with empty stomachs. Their tails were tucked, and their eyes glinted with a green light. They were fiercely staring at Xinyu. Xinyu finally understood my words. What if you can get out of here meant? Xinyu basically had no time to think. The pack of wolves had spotted Xinyu. The eyes of the 4 wolves simultaneously locked onto their prey. Then slowly, they moved towards Xinyu. One of Xinyu's hands was still holding the door frame. Seeing this scene, he was too scared to move. The wolves quickened their pace and charged towards Xinyu in unison. Xinyu finally reacted. He turned and rushed back into the house. His first reaction was to quickly hide in a nearby room, but when he arrived, Xinyu had already discovered that the doors to all the rooms here had been removed. In other words, today I was fully prepared. Xinyu ran straight upstairs. His first reaction was to look for me, but when he reappeared in the surveillance room, I was already long gone. Moreover, from the monitors in the surveillance room, Xinyu could clearly see. The 4 wolves were quickly climbing the stairs. The 4 wolves had split up, searching floor by floor, scouring every room. In less than 3 minutes, they would definitely be able to find where Xinyu was. Xinyu's limbs were trembling. He never expected me to be so cruel, so crazy, but now, he had to escape. Leaving the surveillance room, he saw a wolf peeking out from the end of the hallway. Seeing Xinyu, it let out a roar, and then madly rushed towards him. Seeing that giant figure, Xinyu was scared out of his wits. He looked around, and finally found a place to hide. The elevator. Xinyu quickly ran to the elevator and pressed the open button. The wolf behind him also quickly rushed towards him. It snarled. Its eyes were ferocious, baring its fangs. It looked like it could tear him to shreds in the next second. Xinyu's heart pounded wildly. His whole body trembled like a leaf. Fortunately, the elevator door opened. He slipped into the elevator as fast as lightning. Then, with trembling fingers, he desperately pressed the close button. That giant wolf was less than 5 meters from the elevator. It leaped towards the elevator, charging at Xinyu inside. Xinyu fell to the ground with a thud. With a loud bang, Xinyu felt the entire elevator seem to shake. That wolf had just slammed into the elevator door. Xinyu's whole body was trembling. Just now, that wolf was right outside the door, opening its bloody maw, revealing sharp teeth. If he had been 1 second slower, his neck would probably have been bitten off by that giant wolf by now. Xinyu never would have dreamed that he would encounter something like this in his entire life. The sound of wolves howling echoed outside the elevator, one after another, as if they could tear everything apart. Xinyu was stunned for a few seconds, then suddenly reacted. He could call the police. Luckily, his phone was right in his pocket. Xinyu dialed 113, but found that all signals here were blocked. Xian, you're too cruel. What should I do now? His gaze stopped at the last message he had sent, which was to Wen Yue Ting. Wen Yue Ting will come. She will definitely come. Because of my sudden appointment, Xinyu knew that today would be a showdown, so he had sent a message to Wen Yue Ting beforehand. Originally, he wanted Wen Yue Ting to come here and see me treating him harshly and his own face of sincere apology. But he didn't expect that before Wen Yue Ting arrived, something like this would happen. He was terrified, even more afraid that he wouldn't last until Wen Yue Ting arrived. The growling outside made his heart tremble, and at that moment, the screen in the elevator suddenly lit up. Inside, my face appeared. Judging by the background, I seemed to have returned to the surveillance room, still sitting leisurely in that chair. Song Xinyu screamed at me like a madman. "Gu Xian, are you crazy?" I chuckled. My smile was dazzling, enough to captivate anyone, but the coldness in my eyes could not be hidden no matter what. Song Xinyu, it's not just you who can have the heart of a wolf. Everything you're suffering today is what you deserve. Song Xinyu never expected that when I went crazy, I would be this insane. Was this still the radiant, sun-like Gu Xian he knew? I was truly like a demon from hell. Song Xinyu quickly conceded. "Xian, spare me. I was wrong. I am scared. Can you not joke with me like this?" Song Xinyu still held a sliver of hope. I laughed coldly. "Song Xinyu, you chose the hard way instead of the easy way." I stared at the screen, my tone calm, but incredibly oppressive. "Tell me who it was. You definitely know who violated me." Song Xinyu knelt on the ground, crying pitifully. "I don't know. I really don't know. Song Xinyu, I can open the elevator door at any time." Song Xinyu suddenly looked up. "This entire house is a smart home. I can control it remotely." Song Xinyu heard the sound of wolf claws, scratching fiercely at the elevator door. Moreover, there wasn't just one wolf outside now. Song Xinyu's heart was in his throat. He backed away in terror, hiding in the corner of the elevator. "Wen Yue Ting, why haven't you come yet?" My calm voice came from the screen again. "I'll count to 10. If you still refuse to talk, then pray for yourself." 10. Song Xinyu's heart pounded frantically. It felt like it was about to jump out of his chest. He looked dazed, as if he had reached the peak of his fear. 9. Song Xinyu came to his senses, his brain working quickly. He started kowtowing to the screen, begging for forgiveness, but his mouth still vehemently denied it. 8. Seeing that I was completely unmoved by his begging, Song Xinyu immediately changed his tune and started cursing. "Gu Xian, why are you treating me like this? What right do you have to treat me like this? You're breaking the law. If you kill me, you'll spend the rest of your life in prison." 6. Ishi. Anne, don't be like this. Can't we talk things out slowly? Calm down first. 4. Gu Xian, I hate you. How could an arrogant person like you understand the pain of someone at the bottom like me? Aren't you still living well now, getting whatever you want? You haven't lost anything. So why do you still have to bother with a nobody like me? 3. Xian, spare me. Can you spare me? Actually, there's something I've always wanted to tell you. 2. You don't understand me. You don't understand me at all. You, with your brilliant halo, you have too many friends, so many that it makes me jealous. I always thought, if you were a nobody like me, would you? I finished counting the last number. Song Xinyu also heard the sound of the elevator door about to open. He rushed over, desperately holding the close button. But it was useless. The door had opened a crack. 2 sharp claws had reached in from the outside, and were desperately clawing their way in. Song Xinyu's vision was struck by those 2 claws. His mind instantly went blank. Just as the door was about to open, he suddenly shouted at the screen, "It's Tuong Xiao." After Song Xinyu finished speaking, the elevator door closed tightly again. Song Xinyu collapsed to the ground, wailing. As for me, in the surveillance room, my eyes were also fixed on Song Xinyu. Tuong Xiao. Memories started flooding back. Tuong Xiao's real name was Wu Xiang. He was Song Xinyu's neighbor. A place like Yanwu Alley was full of all sorts of shady characters. Tuong Xiao was a few years older than Song Xinyu. He had been involved in gangs since he was young. He was an aggressive, uneducated, and incompetent thug. Ever since Song Xinyu was in middle school, he would occasionally block Song Xinyu's way. Song Xinyu avoided him like the plague, but no matter how he tried to hide, Tuong Xiao stuck to him like a shadow. In high school, he even claimed to be his good friend and followed him to school. At that time, Song Xinyu was practically despised and loathed by the entire school. Even the principal intended to expel him. It was I who stepped in time and time again to solve his problems. This also made him hold a grudge against me. One time after school, he came to cause trouble for Song Xinyu again. I stood up for him once more. Tuong Xiao directly pulled out a prohibited knife. He knew he couldn't beat me, so he took out his anger by taking the knife and stabbing towards Song Xinyu. At that moment, I blocked him without a second thought. In front of Song Xinyu, the knife plunged deep into my shoulder. To this day, I still have a deep knife scar on my shoulder. Later, because of this incident, Tuong Xiao was sent to prison for intentional injury, a prison sentence of 3 years. Thinking about the past, I just felt the scar on my shoulder start to ache dully again. Tiny beads of sweat had formed on my forehead, but at this moment, I still managed to maintain my last bit of clarity. My voice was chillingly cold. Song Xinyu, that year, I almost lost my life saving you from Tuong Xiao, and in the end, you conspired with Tuong Xiao to destroy me. Song Xinyu knelt on the ground. No, during the summer vacation of our freshman year, Tuong Seo got out of prison. He found me immediately. He put a knife to my throat. He asked about you. Forced me to tell him where you were. Otherwise, he would take me down with him. At that time, you were volunteering, eating and sleeping with the children. I was so scared at that time. So I told him. I didn't expect he would go look for you. That he would drug you. That he would find someone to do that to you. I always felt that you were so skilled. Your family background is so strong. I thought he wouldn't dare. I still tried to suppress my emotions. Song X Xinyu. Do you think he'll believe you? Wasn't it you and Tuong Seo who set me up together? Otherwise, how would you know so clearly? I didn't. I really didn't. It was Tuong Seo who came to brag to me afterwards. He told me everything he did. He also recorded a video. I still have that video to this day, saved on my phone. With that said, Song Xinyu took out his phone and finally found a video. Inside, I could be seen drugged, unconscious on a large hotel bed. Someone was holding a phone, using a first-person perspective to record the video. Tuong Seo was also next to them. Although the video wasn't clear, I remembered this voice. It was indeed Tuong Seo's voice. The elevator door slowly opened. Song Xinyu, kneeling on the ground, finally looked up. What he saw was not a wolf, but Wen Yue Ting. Song Xinyu was stunned. What was going on? On Wen Yue Ting's face was an expression of extreme pain, mixed with extreme suppressed anger. She strode quickly in front of Song Xinyu. Song Xinyu, you are truly scum. Wen Yue Ting just thought about the contents of Song Xinyu's diary. He fabricated truths, spread rumors in front of her, making her think I was a philanderer. Wen Yue Ting grabbed Song Xinyu's collar. Song Xinyu, you are truly a venomous snake. Song Xinyu was also helpless. He looked at Wen Yue Ting. A Ting, Xian wants to kill me. He wants to kill me. You deserve to die. Another voice came from not far away. Song Xinyu looked up. It was Xiao Qingxue. Why are they here? And since when? Wen Yue Ting appeared, but Song Xinyu wasn't surprised, because she had texted him before she came. He knew she would come sooner or later. It's just that she appeared so late. Actually, when Wen Yue Ting received it, the message, she was still at the hospital. Xiao Qingxue couldn't contact me all night, so she came to the hospital early in the morning. She thought I would go visit Wen Yue Ting, and happened to see Wen Yue Ting going out alone, so she followed her. When they arrived, Song Xinyu had just hidden inside the elevator, so after that, their confrontation, everything they said, was heard very clearly. Xiao Qingxue finally understood the whole story. I had even saved Song Xinyu from this gangster's hands many times, only to end up being pushed by Song Xinyu, step by step, into the abyss. I had also arrived. I walked slowly towards Song Xinyu. Step by step, my footsteps were stiff. I stopped in front of Song Xinyu. Song Xinyu looked at me, kowtowing and begging incessantly. Xian, I know I was wrong. I was too scared back then, so I didn't come. I was just too scared back then. I squatted down and lifted Song Xinyu's chin. You could have called the police. Song Xinyu received a video like that, and you didn't even call the police. That made me, who was in a desperate situation at the time, lose even a glimmer of hope of being saved. I was really scared. Song Xinyu cried while begging for forgiveness. Song Xinyu, you weren't scared. You just wanted to use this opportunity to destroy me. You are an accomplice. Song Xinyu looked at me in horror. My eyes were bloodshot, looking down on him from above. My face revealed a crazed expression, making my whole being exude a sense of quiet madness. I suddenly took the silver whistle, put it to my lips, and blew it once. The four wolves that had disappeared from the four corners emerged again, and then, step by step, baring their fangs, they advanced towards Song Xinyu. When Wen Yue Ting arrived, she only saw the shadows of wolves, not the wolves themselves. At that time, she thought she was hallucinating. Now, seeing the four wolves surrounding the three of them, she was momentarily terrified, her eyes wide with shock. But Xiao Qingxue was very calm. She stood beside me, without a trace of fear on her face. Her gaze only rested on my face, looking at my current appearance, completely different from the man, who was usually unrestrained with his joy, sadness, anger, and resentment. It was as if inside my body, a demon had crawled up from hell to seek revenge. My expression was numb and cold. Xiao Qingxue knew I seemed to be sick, a sickness of the mind. The four wolves approached step by step, baring their teeth, along with terrifying growls, as if they could lunge forward in the next second, and tear them all to shreds. Although Xiao Qingxue knew this pack of wolves was likely under my control, but seeing them press closer step by step with fierce expressions, she still stood in front of me. At this moment, Wen Yue Ting finally came to her senses. She also stood up, protecting me by my side. Song Xinyu saw this scene, and was utterly devastated, both physically and mentally. A Ting, how could you treat me like this? The four wolves were now very close. Cleverly, all four of them were targeting Song Xinyu. Seeing these four ferocious wolves again, Song Xinyu was so scared he curled into a ball. Now I've gone mad. He placed his only hope on Wen Yue Ting. Wen Yue Ting. Save me. We've been together for 3 years. Save me. I don't want to die. A Ting. For the sake of our time together, save me. When Yue Ting looked at the wolves closing in around them, she looked calm, but she was actually forcing herself to be. She didn't want to lose to Xiao Qingxue at this moment, but at the same time, her heart was in turmoil. Song Xinyu deserved to die 10,000 times, but he shouldn't die in such a bloody and cruel way. Wen Yue Ting finally turned and pulled my hand. Xian, let Song Xinyu go. He deserves to die 10,000 times, but not like this. Xian, be rational. You're killing someone. If you kill him, you'll go to jail. When Yue Ting saw I had no expression and could only look at Xi Qingxue, quick, stop him. Do you really want to see him kill someone? Xiao Qingxue spoke coldly. I won't stop him, but I will bear the consequences for him. The wolves got closer. Wen Yue Ting's expression became more and more frantic. As the 4 wolves bared their fangs and lunged at Song Xinyu, everyone held their breath. Song Xinyu's terrified scream tore through the air, but the expected bloody scene did not happen. I picked up the silver whistle again and leisurely blew it twice. The 4 wolves suddenly stopped and ran towards me one by one, then nuzzled my ankles with their noses, even wagging their tails like dogs. I bent down and petted a wolf's head, then smiled and said, "It was just a little joke. These are pet wolves. They won't hurt people." Wen Yue Ting almost collapsed to the ground. The corners of Xiao Qingxue's mouth curved up. In fact, she had long noticed that these wolves were all wearing collars. The collars were all numbered. It was clear they were artificially raised. Furthermore, their fur was very glossy. One look, and you could tell someone took care of them regularly. Some wealthy people like to keep wolves as pets. Each one has gone through rigorous screening. Wolf pups with a record of hurting people would definitely be euthanized. The ones that can be raised are basically like dogs, even tamer than dogs. But wolves are much smarter than dogs. Just now, I told them to pretend to attack Song Xinyu. They did a great job. But she didn't know where I got these from. Their appearance and fur color are all top grade. At this moment, Song Xinyu finally breathed a sigh of relief. I walked over to Song Xinyu and squatted down. Song Xinyu, I now know everything you've done. It's time for a real ending between us. Song Xinyu had just breathed a sigh of relief. Now, a trace of horror rose in his eyes. I smiled. Don't worry. I won't kill you. Going to jail for you isn't worth it. Gu Xian, what do you want? Then use what you currently cherish most as an exchange. I crossed my arms, looking thoughtful. But what is it that you value and cherish the most? My gaze fell upon Song Xinyu. Song Xinyu seemed to sense something. I stood up and said to Wen Yue Ting, Wen Yue Ting, don't you want to make it up to me? I stared at her and said coldly, I'll give you a chance. Wen Yue Ting stood frozen in place. Song Xinyu, however, seemed to go crazy. Gu Xian, you can't do this. One day, you will definitely regret it. Song Xinyu knew I would turn Wen Yue Ting into the butcher's knife that would strike him, because if it was Wen Yue Ting, he would feel even more pain, an excruciating, heart-wrenching pain. Wen Yue Ting frowned deeply. When Yue Ting walked over, pulled Song Xinyu up. Song Xinyu, go abroad. Everyone has to pay the price for their mistakes. You and I are the same. I left the Qingcheng Mountain Villa and returned to the Lu Yin Villa. I didn't say anything the whole way. Xiao Qingxue didn't ask anything either. I took leave from the TV station and slept for 3 days and 3 nights. At dusk, I woke up again. I found that I wasn't sleeping on the 3rd floor, but in Xiao Qingxue's room on the 2nd floor. On the pillow, there seemed to still be the unique, cool fragrance from Xiao Qingxue. This scent made me feel calm and safe. I slowly sat up, having slept for 3 days. It seemed I had finally recovered some of my energy. I walked out of the room. It was very quiet outside. I checked the time. I knew where Xiao Qingxue was at this time. I went straight to the dining room on the 1st floor. Sure enough, I saw Xiao Qingxue busy in the kitchen. Today, she was still wearing a white one-piece dress, with a small bare apron over it, but at this moment, this woman was incredibly beautiful and radiant. The evening sunlight shone in from the window, passing through the persimmon tree outside the window, casting dappled spots of light that twinkled on her. Her side profile seemed to be bathed in light, as if plated with a layer of fine gold. Her expression was focused. Her movements as she cut the vegetables were truly graceful and elegant, as if she wasn't cooking, but creating a work of art. I leaned against the door, the corners of my mouth slightly raised. Watching this beautiful scene, Xiao Qingxue also noticed a figure. She turned around and saw me looking at her affectionately. You're awake? Dinner's almost ready. We're having your favorite sweet and sour pork ribs today. I walked over. I cupped the back of Xiao Qingxue's neck with one hand and kissed her lips. I think you're more delicious. Xiao Qingxue's eyes suddenly deepened, but on her delicate face, a blush quickly spread. Xian, if you keep this up, I guarantee you won't get any dinner tonight. I quickly let go of Xiao Qingxue and took a few steps back. With a bright smile, I raised my hands in a gesture of surrender. Dinner. Let's have dinner first. Tonight's dinner was especially sumptuous, and I ate with a good appetite. Looking at me, I seemed no different than before, as if I had fully recovered. But Xiao Qingxue's heart still felt a little heavy. So it turns out I had been through so much in the past. So it turns out I was hiding so many things in my heart. So it turns out behind my cheerful exterior was an indelible shadow. So it turns out the person I showed her was never the real me. I am sorry. Xiao Qingxue finally spoke. I knew why she suddenly apologized. Now she knew my past. It was probably an apology for her previous rivalry with Wen Yue Ting. You don't need to apologize to me. The one who wronged me was never you. I looked indifferent. But Xiao Qingxue felt very uneasy inside. I didn't seem to open up to her at all, but their relationship was special. Right now, she couldn't give me any. Xiao Qingxue, help me find someone, I suddenly said. Xiao Qingxue gathered her thoughts. She seemed to know what I was going to say. Xiao Qingxue spoke. Dao Ba Chang. Hearing this name, my fingers tightened. I want him to rot in prison. I can't let this kind of scum remain in society. What happened, happened. I knew I couldn't dwell on the past. Actually, when I am not having an episode, I am very clear-headed. Being victimized was not my fault. The ones who really have to pay a heavy price are the perpetrators. I want revenge. I have to make him pay the price he deserves, and then throw him in prison, to spend his whole life in prison without seeing the sun. There was no expression on Xiao Qingxue's face. She said very calmly, "Those two are already dead." I was shocked. After a long while, I asked in disbelief, "Did you do it?" Xiao Qingxue looked up at me. "No, they died 3 years ago. 2 days right after the incident, they drowned in a nearby reservoir. The police investigated at the time. They said the two of them were drunk, slipped, and drowned. Neither of them had any relatives, so the case was closed quickly. I never expected it to be like this. After a long time, I finally uttered a sentence. What goes around comes around, but I don't know why. I felt very uneasy. My heart was pounding. I just feel that Wu Shang's death is too strange." Xiao Qingxue sighed. "He's dead anyway. You should let this go. Don't torture yourself anymore." In the past few days, Xiao Qingxue had investigated the types of medicine I was taking, and finally knew why these past few years, every day I could only sleep for 3 hours. Her heart ached terribly. Xiao Qingxue took my hand. "I know this is very difficult, but I will always be by your side. Ga Xian. You have to remember, I will never let go of your hand." I looked into Xiao Qingxue's deep eyes. I seemed dazed for a second, but then I laughed. "With our relationship, don't be so sentimental, okay?" Xiao Qingxue sighed and said no more. If she said one more word, I would probably have to suggest breaking up. My smile faded, replaced by a bit of seriousness. "Xiao Qingxue, I lost the ability to love anyone a long time ago. It's like that with Wen Yue Ting, and it's like that with you. So don't love me either. Let's just be happy together. One day at a time." "Okay." Xiao Qingxue's grip on my hand tightened a little, but in the end, she only uttered one word. Life seemed to return to peace after that. Xinyu suddenly disappeared from my life. In fact, since that day, Wen Yue Ting also stopped appearing before me. It was just on the 7th day, after leaving the Qingcheng Mountain Villa, I received a text from Wen Yue Ting. "Everything is as you wished." At that time, I stared at those words for a long time. It was as if I could feel that these words contained unwillingness and a faint hint of resentment. Was this really the result I wanted? I wasn't happy at all, even if they lost everything. It couldn't make up for what I had lost. My insomnia was getting worse. I could only go see Xiao Qingxuan again. Xiao Qingxuan has her own private clinic and only sees regular clients. I rested my hand on my forehead, lazing around on the office sofa. "Tell me why I can't sleep," Xiao Qingxuan said. "Anne, you must know. The body is just a vessel for our soul. After 100 years, it will just be a handful of yellow earth. You don't need to care too much about what your body has been through." Xiao Qingxuan already knew the whole truth. I scratched my head. "I don't care. I really don't care that much, but I still can't sleep." Xiao Qingxuan stood up and walked over. "That's because you have too much on your mind, too many unresolved issues, no one to confide in. It's festering in your heart." I looked up in confusion. "But I've already confided in you. You know everything about me." Xiao Qingxuan was silent for a moment. "Perhaps in your heart. I am also not that important." "Xian, try opening up to the person you love." I was a bit stunned. The person I love. Who do I love? I was a little annoyed. For the past 20 years, the person he loved most was Qin Huilan. A child loving their mother is an instinct. Before Gu Haoming returned, Qin Huilan's love for me was also unconditional. But after Gu Haoming returned, I no longer had a home or parents. My birth mother, Li Siyu Fen. I've never even spoken to her directly, although I've investigated quite a bit about her. But after she went to prison, I've never visited her in prison. A relationship like that certainly can't be called love. What about others? Who else can I open up to? The Wen parents. They have no obligation to worry about me. Shen Nuo. Shen Nuo has been back with the Shen family for 3 years. Distant water can't put out a nearby fire. Only one person was left in my mind. Xiao Qingxue. Since when? Among the people I could think of, as reliable in my life. Reliable. Did this face appear? But I sighed. Xiao Qingxuan seemed to have seen through my thoughts. She suddenly said, Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Don't wait until there are no flowers to break an empty branch. I snorted with laughter. She's not a rose hanging on a branch. Xiao Qingxue is certainly not a flower. The biggest mistake I ever made in my life was treating her like a greenhouse flower, raised in a conservatory. In front of others, she is as cold as the bright moon. In front of me, she is as fiery as the blazing sun. Sometimes I even feel that although I've tried to restrain myself, it's hard to avoid sinking deeper bit by bit. Should I end this relationship? It's something I think about every day. But sometimes, I really can't bear to. Xiao Qingxue looked at me calmly. She is your good medicine. On this point alone, I think you can give it a try. I sighed. She's the princess of the Jingquan circle. Are you scared? I said frankly, I am scared. A place like Jingquan is a dragon's lair and a tiger's den. Not to mention the Chia family in the capital. That is the deepest water. I don't like fighting and scheming. If I am really with Xiao Qingxue, it's inevitable that I'll be dragged in. So, do you love her? I almost blurted it out. I never put up my guard in front of Xiao Qingxue. After a moment, I sighed again. Very much. When Wen Yue Ting returned, why did I insist on breaking up with Xiao Qingxue? Of course, it wasn't out of consideration for Wen Yue Ting, but because I discovered I had fallen in love with this woman. I was becoming more and more addicted to her scent and the warmth in her arms. This made me feel like I was losing control. Later, why did I move back to the Lu Yin villa? Of course, it wasn't because she forced me step by step. It was because I missed her. That overwhelming longing finally made me surrender. On the surface, I gave 3 conditions for her. But in reality, they were conditions for myself. I wanted to be rational, to be restrained. I didn't want to let myself sink deeper and deeper, and be unable to escape in the end. If love is just a feeling, then I would have already drowned in it 10,000 times over. Until now, being awakened by Xiao Qingxue. I stood up to leave. Where are you going? Xiao Qingxue couldn't help but ask. I suddenly smiled, to open the door for someone. I had hesitated thousands of times, but I finally made up my mind. I've never been a coward. So what if I am dragged into a fight? So what if it's a mountain of swords and a sea of fire? Right now, I just want to be with Xiao Qingxue, to be together in the truest sense. I felt a little excited. Right now, I just want to see her, to hold her tightly, and then tell her, Xiao Qingxue, I love you. I just want to say this one sentence. I quickly arrived at the Shui Yin building. I walked in grandly through the main entrance. My picture was still playing on a loop on the big screen. Last time, I just felt embarrassed. Today, I was in a rather good mood. Everyone still greeted me respectfully. I also smiled in return. The title of Xiao Qingxue's boyfriend doesn't feel too bad. Just as I got out of the elevator, I met him at the elevator door. Gu Haoming was about to get in the elevator. Gu Haoming was also a little stunned to see me. I didn't want to pay him any attention at all. I got out of the elevator and walked straight towards Xiao Qingxue's office. But Gu Haoming suddenly chased after me, blocking my way. His tone was extremely unpleasant. Zhu Xian, what are you doing here? I glanced up at him. My voice revealed a lazy and indifferent tone. I am here to see my girlfriend. Is there a problem? Hearing the 3 words, my girlfriend, Gu Haoming exploded like a balloon. Go Xian, you have no shame. You're clearly married to Wen Yue Ting. You're having an affair, seducing Xiao Qingxue, and you still have the nerve to go around proclaiming that you're her boyfriend. How are you worthy of her? Gu Haoming had no idea about the things between me and Wen Yue Ting. He only knew that Wen Yue Ting and I were married, that Wen Yue Ting loved Song Xinyu, and paid me no attention at all. So I became twisted and perverted, fooling around outside. Gu Haoming had an indignant expression. Xiao Qingxue is just temporarily infatuated with you right now. Soon she'll find out you're a divorced man. You still want to climb higher? What a pipe dream. Faced with Gu Haoming's scolding, there wasn't a trace of anger on my face. On the contrary, the corners of my mouth lifted slightly as I let out a faint laugh. Then I'll give this position to you. Gu Haoming was suddenly stunned, but he still couldn't help but reply. Okay, then. The corner of my mouth lifted. I glanced behind him. A Shui, you really have quite a few pursuers. Gu Haoming's back stiffened. A Shui. Xiao Qingxue was behind him. Gu Haoming turned around and, sure enough, saw a tall figure. Xiao Qingxue's face was as cold as ice, but she walked to my side. She seemed to be unhappy. You're the only one who doesn't want this position. When she said this, although her expression was cold, her tone was very gentle. Gu Haoming was stunned. I had set him up again. Then the things he just scolded me about. Hadn't Xiao Qingxue heard everything? Gu Haoming was furious. I wanted to destroy his image in front of Xiao Qingxue. Gu Haoming tried to salvage his image. Miss Xia, I didn't mean that. I am just a straightforward person who wears his heart on his sleeve. I really can't bear to see you being deceived by my brother. My brother has been married for a long time. 3 years ago, the Ga family and the Wen family were joined by marriage. This is absolutely true. It's just that his wife has another lover. He's also fooling around outside. Miss Xia, don't be deceived by my brother. Gu Haoming always felt that I used tricks to seduce Xiao Qingxue. Xiao Qingxue, when she looked at Gu Hao Ming, it became distant and cold. I remember she and has already severed ties with you, Go family. So Mr. Gu, you should stop calling him brother, lest people think you're trying to cling to a connection. Gu Hao Ming was so angry he laughed. How could Xiao Qingxue not hear the main point of his words? Besides, he was the rightful, true young master of the Gu family. Why would he need to cling to a connection with a fake young master like him? Miss Xia, Gu Xian is a philanderer. He only has a handsome face. Gu Hao Ming threw all caution to the wind. A vicious glint flashed in Xiao Qingxue's eyes. Just as she was about to say something, I gently patted her back and said lightly, "Let me." I took a step forward. I reached out and squeezed Gu Hao Ming's chin tightly. With a twist of my wrist, there was a click. Gu Hao Ming's jaw was dislocated. Gu Hao Ming's eyes widened in disbelief. A moment ago, he was reveling in the pleasure of scolding me, but suddenly, he couldn't speak anymore. Furthermore, a sharp pain shot through his jaw. He wanted to close his mouth, but couldn't close it at all. Gu Hao Ming tremblingly pointed at me, trying to say something excitedly, but not a single word was intelligible. Only drool flowed uncontrollably from it. I clapped my hands. Hurry to the hospital. Otherwise, don't blame me if you can't get it back in place. Terrified, Gu Hao Ming practically wet himself as he scrambled into the elevator. Drool dripped all over the floor. Xiao Qingxue was quite surprised by this scene. Shy Ann, just how many surprises do you have that I don't know about? I smiled. That's a secret. I followed Xiao Qingxue back to the CEO's office. I asked, what did Gu Hao Ming want with you? Xiao Qingxue returned to her desk. This is what I was just about to tell you. Gu Hao Ming has appealed to the High Court. The retrial will be held in half a month. I had guessed as much. Gu Hao Ming came because of this matter. I nodded. How likely is the new evidence to change the verdict? I smiled. Then at that time, I will definitely personally invite Qin Huilan to attend the hearing. Xiao Qingxue looked at me. You bad boy. After talking about Gu Hao Ming, Xiao Qingxue suddenly remembered something. Why did you suddenly come looking for me? It's 3 p.m. now. You should be at the TV station. I had never come to see her at this hour before. I walked up to Xiao Qingxue and slowly cradled her neck and kissed her lips. This series of actions was clearly very effective on Xiao Qingxue. Her earlobes turned red, and her heart was wild with joy. But on the outside, she still feigned seriousness. Mr. Gu, please have some self-respect. I lifted Jia Qingxue's chin with my index finger. Don't you like it? Xiao Qingxue immediately raised her hands in surrender, wrapping her arms around my waist. I like it. I like it very much. Actually, after speaking, my cool lips pressed against her ear. After a lingering moment, Xiao Qingxue asked again, tell me, what do you want me to do? You never come unless you need something. Today, you're even using your good looks. It seems like a big deal. I actually don't have anything. It sounds a bit funny. But I came today to confess. Xiao Qingxue, suddenly. Xiao Qingxue's phone vibrated. The ringtone was very special. It didn't seem to be her usual phone ringtone. Xiao Qingxue had no intention of answering. What's wrong? I turned and took the phone directly. Your phone. As I took the phone, I glanced at it and saw the contact name was Shen Yi. I knew it was a man's name at a glance. I pushed the phone into Xiao Qingxue's hand. Answer the phone first. Xiao Qingxue glanced at the phone, then stood up and went to the office balcony to take the call. This was the first time Xiao Qingxue had avoided me to answer a call. My male intuition told me that this man named Shen Yi had an unusual relationship with her. 5 minutes later, Xiao Qingxue returned from outside. Oh, right, what were you about to say? Xiao Qingxue's expression was normal, with no intention of explaining the call. Who is Shen Yi? I said with a smile. A nephew from a relative's family ran into some trouble, so he asked me for help. I nodded. So I was overthinking it. Xiao Qingxue said, you still haven't told me why you came today, being interrupted like this. I suddenly couldn't bring myself to say those sentimental words anymore, but I still smiled and kissed her cheek. I'll tell you tonight. Xiao Qingxue showed a slightly regretful expression again. I have to go back to Jingcheng for a few days. I was a little surprised. So urgently? A cold glint flashed in Xiao Qingxue's eyes. There's something urgent I need to handle. After speaking, she looked at me again. Why don't you come with me? You haven't been sleeping well lately. Just think of it as a way to relax. I shook my head. I just took 3 days off from the station. It's not convenient to ask for more now. You should go back. I'll wait for you. Xiao Qingxue didn't say anything more. I quickly returned to the television station. On the way back, I kept thinking about the matter Xiao Qingxue said she needed to handle. It must be related to that nephew named Shen Yi. It must be something big. In the evening, after I finished reading the news, I was preparing to get off work. Tang Ling suddenly came to find me. Xian, go back and pack a bit. Tomorrow, we have to go to the Jingcheng station for a learning exchange. This is an excellent opportunity. In the entire station, the first person I thought of was you. The Jingcheng station is the model for all domestic television stations. In fact, it's also a publicly listed company. The parent company behind it is Jinhua Supermedia. Jin Hua Super Media seems to be an enterprise of the Xia family. Of course, these matters in the business world, I don't understand them very well. I spoke up. Director Tang, I've participated in many interstation learning exchanges before. Let's give this opportunity to someone else. This past year, I've been to no less than 30 provincial television stations for exchanges. It's actually quite boring. Just meetings, and then socializing with the big capitalist bosses behind them. I really don't like this kind of socializing. Tang Ling's expression stiffened. This time is different from before. Just go. Actually, this time, the Jingcheng station specifically requested for you to go. She originally wanted to do me a favor. I didn't expect that I had no intention of accepting it at all, or a recommendation. Tang Ling had to tell the truth. Xian, I'll be honest with you. There's a big shot from the Jingcheng station who has specifically asked to see you. If you don't go, it'll be hard for me to explain. Just go. When you get back, I'll compensate you with 5 days of annual leave. I was silent for half a second. 10 days. All right, she originally wanted to grant me a favor, but instead, I blatantly extorted her. Tang Ling was resentful, but when I asked who exactly wanted to see me, Tang Ling was honest. I really don't know about this. I heard it's someone from Jinhua Super Media, and they say the position is very high. It's hard to say who specifically. I frowned. I have absolutely no connection with Jinhua Super Media, nor do I know any of its senior executives. But the matter of going to Jingcheng, I didn't tell Xiao Qingxue, because after I left the Xuan building, Xiao Qingxue had already returned to Jingcheng without delay. The duration of this exchange trip is 3 days. The third day is basically my own free time. By then, I might even be able to ask her to meet. The next day, Tang Ling and I took the 9 o'clock flight. 2 hours later, I was at the entrance of the Jingdu Hotel. After putting away our luggage, Tang Ling and I had the buffet at the hotel. Then we went to the Jingcheng television station. The person who received them was actually the director of the Jingcheng station. Tang Ling was flattered and surprised. One must know that the director of the Jingcheng station had never held the directors of other television stations in high regard. I felt that the Jingcheng station's director was overly enthusiastic. He even personally led them on a tour. He looked at me with a smile like the Maitreya Buddha. The tour lasted about an hour. Then we participated in one of the station's production meetings. The Jingcheng station had recently produced several shows. Their live variety shows were all very popular. The main reason they came this time was to learn about this. The meeting lasted until 4 inches the afternoon. After it ended, the director came up to me. Mr. Gu, please wait here for a moment. Our chairwoman is on her way. She wants to see you. I was very surprised. The chairwoman? Tang Ling interjected from the side. The chairwoman of Jinhua Super Media? Hasn't she always been abroad? She just returned to the country recently. Although the chairwoman was abroad, she has always known about Mr. Gu. I was a bit confused. Who is your chairwoman? Tang Ling said, how do you not even know this? The chairwoman of Jinhua Media is the legend of this industry, Xiao Wenhua. I knew Xiao Wenhua, Xiao Qingxue's eldest sister, the family member with the worst relationship with Xiao Qingxue. My heart skipped a beat in an instant. Why would Xiao Wenhua want to see me? I felt that it would be best to let Xiao Qingxue know about this. So after the director left, I immediately called Xiao Qingxue's phone number, but the phone rang for a long time with no answer. Not long after, the large door of the meeting room was pushed open again. I turned around and saw a middle-aged woman appear at the door. The woman was wearing a white suit dress. Her shoulder-length hair was slightly curled, and her makeup was exquisite. She took very good care of herself. You couldn't tell at all that she was in her 40s. People would totally believe she was in her early 30s. Her skin was like Xiao Qingxue's, a type of cool-toned fair. Because of this, her whole body exuded a sharp and arrogant aura. On her wrist was a limited edition Hermes bag, and she was wearing custom-made designer high heels. There was no other jewelry on her neck or wrists, yet she gave off an impression of being both capable and tidy, as well as elegant and noble. I put my phone away and proactively went to greet her. Chairwoman Xia, I've heard so much about you. I extended my hand to shake Xiao Wenhua's. Xiao Wenhua's gaze was sharp, and she had already sized me up. The corners of her lips curved up as she warmly took my hand. You must know that I am Xiao Qingxue's eldest sister. You are her official boyfriend, so you can just call me eldest sister like she does. I maintained an extremely respectful posture, but spoke in a way that was neither humble nor arrogant. You are a senior and an elder. She and dare not overstep his bounds. I should still address you as chairwoman. Xia Wenhua didn't seem to mind. As you wish. Xia Wenhua walked into the meeting room, casually tossing her handbag onto a chair, and casually chatted with me. Is this your first time in Jingcheng? I answered truthfully. I came once as a child. After growing up, this is the first time. Do you like the scenery of Jingdu? Jingcheng is prosperous and thriving, extravagant and decadent. I naturally like it very much. Xiao Wenhua chuckled. Jingcheng is a prosperous place, but I am afraid this prosperity and wealth can easily blind people. Xie Wenhua's meaning was very clear. She meant that I was not worthy of Xiao Qingxue, or rather, that I and Xiao Qingxue were together because I was aiming for this wealth and prosperity. I also smiled. In this vast mortal world, where is it not prosperous? Rest assured, chairwoman. And will remember your teachings. I will strive to cultivate my mind. Xia Wanhua looked at my neither humble nor arrogant demeanor, and a hint of appreciation appeared in her eyes. Xia Wanhua smiled again. You're quite like me when I was young. I like you very much. I remained respectfully distant. Thank you for your favor, chairwoman. Tang Ling, watching from the side, was breaking out in a cold sweat. It was very clear the chairwoman was trying to assert her dominance over me, but I didn't lose the battle. On the contrary, I was respectful and polite, not losing my composure. With a few words, I skillfully deflected her pressure and was not overwhelmed. As expected of someone from their Rongcheng station, Xiao Wanhua said, "It's getting late. Tonight, I've booked the Tian Xi Gong banquet at Jingdu. Little Tang, you come with us and have a taste." Tang Ling was flattered and stunned. Tian Xi was the most famous hotel in Jingcheng. The Tian Xi Gong banquet was usually impossible to book. Only people with special status were qualified to reserve it. I heard one table has 108 dishes, comparable to a Manchu Han imperial feast. Tang Ling nodded and bowed. Since the chairwoman is treating, little Tang will naturally obey. After saying that, she even gave me a nudge. Aren't you going to thank the chairwoman quickly? It's not that easy to get into Tian Xi Gong. This is a great opportunity to broaden your horizons. One must know that a banquet Xia Wanhua attended would definitely have other big shots accompanying her. I was about to say something, but was cut off by Xia Wanhua. A place like Tian Xi Gong is not suitable for a young person like little Gu. For a moment, the atmosphere became a bit awkward. Tang Ling also didn't expect Xia Wanhua had no intention of bringing me along. It seemed she was still not satisfied with me. This attempt to make things difficult was too obvious. Who would have thought that Xia Wanhua would then, from her bag, take out a gold-plated invitation card? I think little Gu probably doesn't like this kind of commercial socializing. Tonight, there's a better place suitable for you. This is a birthday invitation from the kid of the Shen family, a suitable place for young people to have fun. Presumably, the young masters and ladies of Jingcheng's high society will all be attending. You can go there and make some new friends. Xia Wanhua placed the invitation directly into my hand. As she reached the door, she turned and said, "Oh, right. Help me order a bouquet of lilies for the Shen family's kid," giving me almost no chance to refuse. Tang Ling also hurriedly followed Xia Wanhua out. As she passed by my side, she patted my shoulder. "Xian, it seems you've passed the Xia family's test. Chairwoman Xia intends for you to integrate into Jingcheng's social circle. I have high hopes for you." After saying that, Tang Ling slipped out. I looked at the gold-plated card in my hand, my mood a bit complicated. I always felt that this matter wasn't so simple. I flipped open the card. It only had an address written on it. There was nothing else. But this address felt familiar to me. The Shen family mansion, Yunxiao Road. Isn't that Shen Nuo's home? Shen Nuo is my childhood best friend. We've known each other since kindergarten. In my memory, Shen Nuo had no parents, yet he lived in a big house. The house had a butler and maids. He was raised by the butler. Until the 11th grade, Shen Nuo's father came to find him. It turned out that Shen Nuo was the long-lost illegitimate son of the Shen family, one of the 4 great families of Jingcheng. Speaking of the Shen family members, although there aren't many, the family relationships are quite complicated. Old Master Shen has 2 sons, Shen Ziqian and Shen Zishen. Shen Ziqian was in a marriage alliance with the Sue family. He married Shu Lin, the aunt of Murong Shu, and Qin Li Ji, but the 2 of them were together for over 10 years without having any children. The old master became anxious. Then, Shen Ziqian confessed to the old master that he had a romantic affair when he was young, and had a son, who had always been settled elsewhere, and this son was Shen Nuo. Shen Nuo was acknowledged by the Shen family in the 11th grade. He returned to the family clan and was recorded in the genealogy. Of course, Shuling was very angry about this illegitimate child, who was already a teenager, but because she herself hadn't been able to have a child for over 10 years, she could only swallow her anger. She could only watch helplessly as the old master brought Shen Nuo back to the Shen family home. But the dramatic twist was that, just 1 month after Shen Nuo returned to the Shen family, the 40-year-old Shu Ling became pregnant. This time, Shui Ling could finally hold her head high. She made things difficult for Shen Nuo everywhere. Using the excuse that her pregnancy mood was affected, she once again sent Shen Nuo back to Rongcheng. But Shen Nuo was very happy at that time and stayed in Rongcheng for several more years. After Wen Yue Ting and I got married, the old master fell seriously ill. Shen Nuo was brought back by the Shen family again. Afterwards, he went abroad to study. Coincidentally, Shen Nuo had just returned to the country 3 days ago. As soon as he returned, he asked to meet me. He said he would fly to Rongcheng to visit me, but because my condition was very bad a while ago, and I didn't want him to worry, I found an excuse to decline. If I go there today, won't I be able to see him? I wanted to give him a surprise, so I deliberately didn't call. I ordered a bouquet of lilies. Then I took a taxi to the Shen family mansion. At the main gate of the Shen family home stood 4 bodyguards in black suits. Everyone entering had to show an invitation. Holding the invitation, I walked in very naturally. Stepping through the main gate was like entering a completely different world. Upon entering, there was a huge Chinese-style garden. The courtyard had already been meticulously decorated. Exquisite lanterns and balloons hung from the trees. Several long, French-style dining tables were set up in the courtyard. They were filled with all kinds of delicate pastries. Waiters in tailcoats walked back and forth, carrying trays of wine. There was a band performing. Looking closely, it was even a band from an entertainment industry talent show, a rather famous band. Quite a few guests had already arrived. People were scattered in groups of 3 or 5 in various corners of the courtyard, chatting happily and enjoying the beautiful scenery. It was too big inside, and I didn't know anyone. So in the end, I still called Shen Nuo, baby. You miss me already? Shen Nuo's devil-may-care voice came from the other end of the line. I chuckled. Where are you? Shen Nuo's voice clearly showed boredom. At home. Where else? There's something going on at home today. My dad won't let me go out. He's afraid it'll cause trouble for him. I am bored to death. In a calm voice. Come down. Shen Nuo didn't hear clearly. What? Come down? Come to the gate and get me. Shen Nuo shot up from the bed like a carp. You're at my house. Without time to change his clothes, Shen Nuo went downstairs still in his pajamas, causing quite a few people to turn and look on his way. Who is that? Why is he dressed like that? For young Master Shen's birthday party. You don't know? Shen Nuo, the illegitimate son of the Shen family's main branch, Shen Yi's cousin. He's really just like the rumors say, a wild brat. But I think he's so handsome. He looks so unrestrained, even in pajamas. That's right. I also think he's very handsome. What should I do? I want to call him hubby so badly. You girls need to stop being crazy. He's the illegitimate son of the Shen family. He's not favored at all. The Shen family's main branch already has a biological son. I heard that Madame Shen absolutely can't tolerate him. Who knows when he'll be kicked out of the house. Shen Nuo completely ignored the gossips along the way. He ran straight to the gate, and then saw me standing at the gate holding a bouquet of lilies. Shen Nuo was extremely surprised and overjoyed.